TKZ. Engineered tough, built to last.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Home of the best Bolts coverage.
We are 95.3 W237CW Pinellas Park,
WRUB HD3 Clearwater,
and the mighty AM 620 WDAE St. Petersburg,
an iHeart radio station.
It's Thursday from Citrus Park to Bayonet Point and all around Tampa Bay, plus worldwide on iHeartRadio.
The gloves are off. I'm playing hardball. It's 4th and 15, and you're looking at a full court press.
You're tuned into the voice of the Tampa Bay sports fan.
You're going to like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us.
Buckle up, because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Welcome aboard on this very first show of 2025. Good afternoon, Tampa Bay. The Drive with TKras presented by Moss Nissan is back on the air. Great to have you with us. We've got Chris Mathis on the other side. The Kep Man is also back for 2025. And, of course, you there. We are live in living color, don't you know, here on 95.3 on the FM side, the mighty AM 620. And don't forget to download the new and improved iHeartRadio app. You can take us with you wherever you might be headed. There's so many new features to the app. You've got to download it. It's free. There are scans. There are presets like you do for your car. You can preset your favorite radio stations. Of course, this one, you search WDAE through the iHeartRadio app. Make sure we're on your presets through the iHeartRadio app. It's a beautiful thing. Download it. It's new and improved, and you can listen to us from anywhere in the civilized world through the new and improved iHeartRadio app. And good afternoon to all of you who are watching us. We're streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X at 953 WDAE and AM 620. Like and subscribe all day, every day.
Merry New Year!
Happy New Year. In this country, we say Happy New Year. The phone numbers to get involved, you know them, you love them. Now use them, damn it. 888-546-4620. You can also text in your thoughts at 82945 on the Bartow 4 DAE text platform, where standard message and data rates do apply. And all guests will appear via the Central Florida Behavioral Health Network DAE hotline. We've got a huge show, a full 4-hour extravaganza for you. An hour from now, a lot of Buccaneers and Saints talk. This is it. Week 18 of the NFL. The regular season wraps up this weekend, and it's all simple. It's right there in front of the Buccaneers, and we'll talk about it. Rick Stroud, Tampa Bay Times, TampaBay.com will be with me. It is exciting, Coach. Just after 4 o'clock. And then at 5 o'clock, in studio, Saints insider, my longtime friend and colleague, Mike Nabors, who is also the author of a new book. He's going to tell you about his book, Don't Quit, Pivot. It's an awesome, inspirational read. He's also been covering the Saints for many, many years. He did a television show with Drew Brees for many, many years, so he's still connected to that football team. And he's going to join me in studio. We're going to talk about the Saints and everything that has happened in the last 48 hours or so that has, captured the imagination of the entire world, unfortunately, for all the wrong reasons, with the tragedy that took place on Bourbon Street on New Year's Eve into the wee hours of New Year's Day. So we're going to talk to Mike Nabors about Bucs, Saints, his book, and everything else in between. That's coming up. We got Let It Ride. We're constructing a W, Lightning and the Sharks tonight. So we're talking about everything. The college football playoffs, because of what took place, unfortunately, the tragedy in New Orleans. The Sugar Bowl was postponed from last night to today, this afternoon, in 1 hour, in fact. They're going to kick it off from the Superdome between Georgia and Notre Dame for the right to move into the semifinals. So we'll keep you updated on that college football game, which will get started in an hour from now. So there's a lot going on in the world of sports and beyond. To me, it's absolutely inconceivable. And here we are in 2025 that we still have to deal with the same type of threats that we've been dealing with for so many years, going back decades. And I find it hard to believe that somebody would have so much evil, so much anger in their heart that they would do what that person did in New Orleans on Bourbon Street on New Year's Eve into New Year's Day. Absolutely senseless tragedy that took place. The death toll now up to 15, dozens more injured. I mean, we have not evolved at all as a society. And that is just the latest example of the kind of world we continue to live in, even as we turn the calendar over from 2024 to 2025. These threats do exist. So I urge all of you to, first off, be aware of your surroundings situationally. That's number one. Number two, show some more love and caring and compassion for other people as you would show for yourself and maybe for your family and your friends. That would make this world a better place for us to live in. And as the calendar turns over, a lot of us are making New Year's resolution to get back in better shape. Certainly mental health has always been an issue, and it has been really for, I don't know, for as long as I can remember. But now it just gets more and more attention when things like this tend to occur. So if you're going to live up to your New Year's resolution, I implore all of you to just be the best version of yourself moving forward. Have more love, care, and compassion, not just for you and your close ones, but for other people out there too, until they prove otherwise. And look, I'm often asked about my mindset when it comes to meeting people across all walks of life. My mindset is this: I give people the benefit of the doubt until they prove otherwise. Some people do it right away. Some people do it within the first 30 seconds or 2 minutes that you meet them. Some people hide their true intentions for a long period of time, and I've certainly have seen and experienced that too. But let's try and treat each other with care and respect and kindness, and that certainly can go a long way. What we saw the other night was just catastrophic, and things like this shouldn't be happening in 2025. But it's just another stark reminder that there are a lot of people out there who are still misguided, who are still have a lot of hate and evil in their hearts for whatever reason. And I just don't want anyone else to pick up on that or to, follow in the footsteps of what that pathetic human being did the other night. It's awful, and we shouldn't have to go through it. And my heart and my prayers go out to everyone that was affected in New Orleans along Bourbon Street over what happened the other night. And I'll tell you this, okay? And I was talking to Chris Mathis in our pre-production meeting that almost nothing gets done. By the way, Happy New Year, Chris Mathis. It's good to see you there. You look like Tom Selleck. Are you going to trim that mustache or what?
You're not a fan of it, man? It's 2025. I didn't even think it was that noticeable, to be honest with you.
Not necessarily. I mean, like Tom Selleck can pull it off. You're still like a kid to me.
Wow. Man, if I shave off the stash, I look 14. So at least I look about 21 right now. Let me keep this.
You are 14 in my mind still.
Just because I like chocolate milk. Okay.
The chocolate milk. I mean, look, now that you're an engaged man, you're a kept man, you have to start acting like a grown man, an adult.
That's what I'm doing.
Which means, ditch the chocolate milk, have some bourbon, and you gotta
Shave the
groom
stash.
yourself every once in a while too.
Come on, man.
I don't know. I'm looking at
show.
I'm looking at the caveman from those insurance. By the way, that's so overdone and overplayed. They need to stop with that. The stupid caveman thing is done.
Yeah, they brought it back 10 years later this year. It's been forever since they stopped it, then bring it back, and now it's all over the televisions.
It's silly. It's nonsense. By the way, Happy New Year, Chris Mathis.
Same to you, Tom. That was very nice of you.
Yeah,
that was very nice of you.
Merry New Year!
Happy New Year. In this country, we say Happy New Year. Nice job on the ReliQuest Bowl coverage there.
Thank you very much. I soaked in the moment, the opportunity, and went at it. So it was a really cool time. I wish Jalen Milroe wouldn't have fumbled that game away, but He did. Literally fumbled the game away.
He sure did. I still think he's got a chance to be a good NFL quarterback. That game notwithstanding. I like his leadership ability. I love his athleticism. But, yeah, he's got to take better care of the ball.
Yeah,
for sure.
I know it was raining, too, but still, I don't know if his hand size is small. I'm sure the NFL will look into that. I wonder what his hand size is. But
I'd like to know what his hand size is, too. You know, the bigger the hands, the smarter you are, apparently. You know,
that's why I'm so intelligent.
I don't think I don't know about you.
See that? That's a big hand right there.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm not sure at this point. But nice job on the ReliQuest Bowl coverage, and welcome to 2025.
Yeah, let's do it, man. I'm very excited to be here with you again, Tom, as always, to have all of you listening each and every day. And first show of 2025, had a great little break, but really excited to get back to work.
I am too, and there's so much to discuss. A lot of college football, the college football playoffs and beyond. I mean, there's some things I'm seeing right now in college football which just boggles the mind, and we're going to get into all of that coming up. Here's what I will say, and we're going to get into this with our opening drive. It's going to be Buccaneers-centric as they get set to take on a Saints team that is not very good. They're 5-11. They got a lot of injuries. They're looking for a head coach. I mean, right now, you know, in terms of their football operations, they're upside down. However, they do have something going for them this weekend against the Buccaneers that none of us thought was possible until a couple of days ago. So analyzing this matchup and, you know, the ramifications of this weekend's matchup between the Bucs and the Saints, that's the theme of our opening drive.
Start the engine. Gas to the floor. Here's the opening drive.
At the very first opening drive of 2025, Buccaneers and the Saints, Sunday, 1 o'clock, Raymond James Stadium. And for the Buccaneers, it's quite simple. You win, you're in. And that Sunday night game, by the way, between the Falcons and Commanders, that was something else, man. The last few minutes of that game into overtime, Jaden Daniels, just a tremendous performance by him. However, to have Jaden Daniels make the Pro Bowl ahead of Baker Mayfield was a crime. Absolutely so. 1,000%. Baker Mayfield was snubbed. Baker Mayfield should be in the Pro Bowl. And while I love Jaden Daniels, and yeah, that team is headed to the playoffs, and he's been fantastic, and he has outperformed the guy who was taken one spot in front of him, and Caleb Williams, for a lot of different reasons. But the talent is there. I think certainly the wherewithal is there. His penchant for making big plays when the game is on the line. There's a lot to love about Jaden Daniels. However, Baker Mayfield is a Pro Bowl quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC, and he absolutely should have been named to the Pro Bowl. The Buccaneers had Vita Vea and Tristan Wirfs. Congrats to them. Well earned. Vita Vea has been a dominant force in the middle of that Buccaneer defensive line. He absolutely deserves to be in the Pro Bowl. Tristan Wirfs, for my money, is the best left tackle right now in the NFL. Maybe the best offensive lineman, period, in the league. So those two guys were deserving. But I thought Baker Mayfield was snubbed in a big way. And if you want to compare the numbers, there is no comparison. Baker may have more interceptions, and that is something you have to deal with and live with when it comes to him playing the quarterback position. But he's tough. He's a leader. He's got a great arm. The guys love him. The guys respect him. And the numbers are there. He's got more passing yards, more passing touchdowns, a higher completion percentage, a higher quarterback rating than Jaden Daniels. Baker Mayfield should have been a Pro Bowl quarterback, period. Now, with that being said, and we're going to talk about Baker and some things he had to say today, along with Liam Cohen, the Buccaneer offensive coordinator, who is a future head coach. And look, this is the other thing that really annoyed me over the last week on social media, you freaking people. Here's what pisses me off about some of you. You're all looking for a reason to fire Todd Bowles. Everybody's still looking for a reason. Let's fire Todd Bowles. We got to keep Liam Cohen. Look, at 9-8 or 10-7, he's not getting fired. And here's something else for you to consider. Well, the defense is the reason why. Everyone's talking about the Cowboys game from a couple of weeks ago. Cowboys scored 3 points in the second half. 3! You know how many points Carolina scored in the second half of last week after Todd Bowles went in there and started moving some furniture? 0.
Yeah, rough one, right?
It was rough for you, Dave Canales. And since the Buccaneers came back from the bye, here's what they've done defensively across the NFL. Number 1 against the run. Number 2 in total defense. 3rd in scoring defense. They're giving up less than 17 points per game since they came back from the bye. But yet, everyone wants to fire Todd Bowles. And only you could answer why. Give me a break. Some fans don't know what they're looking at. It's that simple. The Cowboys game. The Bucs lost that game because they had 2 egregious turnovers made by 2 very young players with the game on the line. In every NFL game, there are ebbs and flows. It goes back and forth, back and forth. And there's a couple of plays that decide every game. And in my opinion, in the Cowboys game, it was 2 turnovers made by the offense. Everyone wants to pin that game on Todd Bowles. There's a lot that he doesn't do well. Calling the timeouts, that's a huge problem. Not going for 2 in Kansas City, that's a problem. And I'd call them out on that too. But all of you, the Bucs might be on their way to winning their 4th consecutive division title. You still want to fire the guy. Give me a break. Now, this matchup with the Saints, I was talking to Chris Mathis before the show. Now, the Saints may have an interim coach. They've got all kinds of injuries. They're upside down. I think some of those players, maybe a lot of those players, are looking forward to the offseason. And then this tragedy took place a couple of nights ago. And the truth of the matter is this. When this game rolls around on Sunday, everybody living outside of the Tampa Bay area is going to be rooting for the Saints. They're going to be the media darlings, the sentimental favorite because of what took place a couple of nights ago, the tragedy on New Year's on Bourbon Street. They've got the weight of the entire area of New Orleans with them, trying to go out there and win one for that entire area, which is grieving and will be grieving for a very long time. Sports has that way. And look, the Buccaneers were on that side of it too. If you remember, the first meeting against the Saints, hurricane was approaching. And the Glazers relocated the Buccaneers to New Orleans for that entire week leading up to the Bucs-Saints game on Sunday of that week. And the Buccaneers went out there and they put 51 points on the board and they gave the Tampa Bay area something to feel good about in a time where everybody was demoralized and devastated because of the hurricane. And now you got a situation where this horrendous tragedy that took place a couple of nights ago. I think the Saints team might be motivated to a certain extent. And we'll talk to Mike Nabors. He's going to join me in studio 5 o'clock. We'll talk to Rick Stroud at 4 o'clock about this as well. But the Saints will have the emotions and the hearts of that entire New Orleans community and maybe the entire country on their side in that game against the Bucs. So they're going to have the emotion. They're going to have the momentum. Now, when the game kicks off, it's an entirely different story. How do you match up against one team? That emotion is good until the game kicks off and then somebody gets it pushed in. And maybe that does happen to the Saints on Sunday because they are overmatched on Sunday against the Bucs. There's no question about that. Now, with the emotion that they're going to feed off of, the people back home looking for something to feel good about after what they just went through, I think that's a real dynamic going into the game on Sunday between the Bucs and the Saints, and the Saints will have that on their side. And for the Buccaneers, obviously, they're looking to stem that momentum, win, and you're in. You don't want to have to rely on Carolina to beat Atlanta, try and back your way in. Look, everything is set up for the Buccaneers now. Destiny is in their corner. They control it again. All you got to do is take care of the Saints. If they take care of the football, the Buccaneers should put 40 points on the Saints this weekend. There's no question about that. The only way the Buccaneers lose this game is if the Buccaneers beat themselves, honestly. Plus the swelling emotion on the other side. And look, that could be a very real thing on Sunday with the Saints. We'll find out. And I really like Darren Rizzi, their interim coach. Remember, he joined us here on the show over the summer when he was an advocate of the new kickoff rules, and we had him on the show. I really enjoyed talking to him, and I would love to get him back on the show. North Jersey guy at some point. And look, he's holding a lot of those guys accountable.
I'll probably have to wait till after the game because he's going to have some hurt feelings after Sunday's game.
Yeah, potentially, yes. Potentially. If the Bucs do what they're supposed to do, yeah, they should put a nice big spot up there against the Saints team. Because right now, offensively, the Buccaneers are in the top 5 in just about every statistical category. And a lot of it is due to Baker Mayfield. A lot of it is due to this incredible offensive line led by the Pro Bowl left tackle Tristan Wirfs, opening holes in the running game. Bucky Irving was named the starter this past week against Carolina. He was fantastic again. In 2 games against the Panthers, he rushed for almost 300 yards against them. He deserves to be the starter because he's the better player. And it's being orchestrated by Liam Cohen, who will get a head coaching job in the NFL. And that's why a lot of Bucs fans are so quick to kick Bowles out and make Liam Cohen, who's calling plays for the first time, by the way, in the NFL this year. Everyone wants Liam Cohen to get the job. Liam Cohen was asked today about being a head coach in the NFL and how much does he want that. Here's Liam on that.
Yeah, I do believe I'm ready to do so. I don't think you're ever truly fully ready. But, yeah, that is a dream. Does that need to happen when I'm 39 years old and having probably the most fun of my life, coaching and working and being here? No, that doesn't mean that needs to occur right now. But, yeah, that is the goal. That is absolutely the goal.
And he's going to get it. If that's something he's shooting for, he'll absolutely get it. He'll be a head coach in the NFL. Because outside of Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator, you can argue that Liam Cohen will be the second hottest assistant coach to be a head coaching candidate in the NFL. Yes, you got Joe Brady up in Buffalo. But what Liam Cohen has done, especially with this run game and the innovative run game concepts that he's incorporating, is tremendous. Very crafty guy, very smart guy, and he talked about that today. Talked about, repping it, the gap schemes and the wham blocks and everything else. And look, he goes, it takes a lot of time, but we were able to perfect it, and now it's starting to show some real tangible results. He also talked about his relationship with Baker Mayfield, who was named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. And, a very interesting tidbit about Baker being a team-first guy. Here's Liam Cohen talking about Bake.
Yeah, we talked this weekend after our game, and I had he didn't know how many touchdowns he had on the year. Now, maybe he did, but I texted him and asked him, I sent him something, and he responded to me that he did not know because I was asking because I did not know. We haven't talked about that stuff at all.
Well, look, I think they talk about him more so than he's letting on, certainly. But the fact that Baker Mayfield doesn't know his stats, that just shows you what kind of player he is, about how he's laser focused on the task at hand, which is making the playoffs again for a second straight year as quarterback of your Buccaneers. And it will be the 3rd time in his career that he gets into the postseason. Won a playoff game last year, maybe. Look, if the Bucs get in there, if you get into the dance, I think the Bucs can beat anybody. They could. The way they put up points offensively, look, defensively, with a lot of injuries back there, and some guys underperforming too, it's going to be tough for them to stop people. That's why they went out and signed Shaq Barrett, by the way, who is practicing this week. And according to Todd Bowles, Shaq Barrett has a chance to play on Sunday if he can get back into football shape. Here's the head coach on Shaq.
Walked through today, he was outstanding. He ran pretty good. Over the weekend, he ran pretty good. You don't know until you put the helmet and pads on. Okay, he ran pretty good. All right. Listen, he's been idle for months.
And I thought it was interesting, the game on Sunday against Carolina, this was after they signed Shaq Barrett. All of those edge players contributed in that win. JTS blocked the punt. Braswell had a sack. Nelson had a sack. Yaya Diaby had a sack. Coincidence? I think not, because sometimes guys get motivated. Oh, listen, they just signed Shaq Barrett, who is loved by everybody in that locker room, but that sends a little warning shot across or up your nose, however you want to put it, like in Spaceballs. And I think all those edge guys are like, if they love what we were doing, they wouldn't have signed this guy, which is true. We'll talk to Rick Stroud coming up at 4 o'clock about that dynamic. But I just thought that was interesting that all the edge defenders made big plays in that game against Carolina. So the Bucs did what they had to do. And then Sunday night, because of the incompetent nature of Raheem Morris not knowing when to use a timeout, and that to me was just completely egregious. That was coaching malpractice, what you saw on Sunday night out of Raheem Morris. I couldn't believe it. You complete that pass of Darnell Mooney up to the 45-yard line. You had 2 timeouts. Everybody's saying timeout. He should have called a timeout. They would have had 33 seconds left at the 45-yard line. If you get, they undoubtedly would have gotten 20, 25 more yards to get into manageable field goal range. And then the Buccaneers would be in an entirely different situation now had Raheem Morris did that. That is probably going to cost the Falcons their shot at getting into the playoffs because Raheem Morris doesn't know how to use his timeouts. Maybe he learned from Todd Bowles. I don't know. Oh, come on.
No. You insulted him a little bit.
All right, that was a little bit of an insult. Come on, give me a drink. All right, first drink of 2025, Mathis. Come on. Try to break up my party,
Drinks around the house.
They are on the house. All right, great to have you with us. We're up to a flying start, the very first show of 2025. It is The Drive. Yours truly, Tom Krasnicki. You got Chris Mathis there. Rick Stroud at 4 o'clock. Mike Nabors at 5 o'clock. Let it ride in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll preview Lightning and Sharks coming up at 3:45 when we construct a W. On the way back, the college football playoffs in high gear. The Sugar Bowl gets underway at 4 o'clock. We'll discuss that game. Is Ohio State the team to beat?
WDAE.
All right, Happy New Year. Welcome back. It is The Drive with yours truly, TKras, Tom Krasnicki. First show of 2025. Great to have you with us. Hope all of you had a healthy and happy New Year. Of course, that wasn't the case, unfortunately, a couple of nights ago up in New Orleans along Bourbon Street. And the Sugar Bowl that was supposed to be played last night was postponed until this afternoon at 4 o'clock. So 30 minutes from now, it's going to be Georgia and Notre Dame kicking things off up there, and we'll keep you updated on everything that's happening with the Sugar Bowl coming up throughout the course of this afternoon. 888-546-4620, text at 82945. We'll be constructing a W coming up in a few minutes. The college football playoffs have been quite entertaining for the most part. I mean, I watched some bowl games over the last week or so, and I was entertained by, some of the bowl games that I watched. And there was a whole controversy with Cam Ward about getting the record, and then he sat out the second half. I wasn't a big fan of that, by the way. Hey, you want to play. I mean, the rest of your guys are out there. The rest of your teammates, they're playing too. So you should be out there and playing as well. So I wasn't a big fan of that. The other thing about college football right now, outside of the games and the playoffs, and look, Ohio State looks great right now. Jeremiah Smith looks like one of the best players in college football, only a freshman. I heard what Dan Orlovsky said this morning. If he were eligible for the draft, he thinks he would be the number 1 overall pick. I don't think that would be the case, but he is showing that he is such an electrifying playmaker, and he's going to make for a hell of a pro whenever he does decide to throw his hat in the ring. But Ohio State right now is starting to play up to that talent, that potential. Ryan Day's job was on the line. They beat up on Tennessee. And then what they did to Oregon the other night was amazing. Amazing, obviously, if you're a Buckeyes fan. Not so much if you're an Oregon Duck. I know Bucky Irving probably could not have been too happy about that. By the way, Buccaneers' new mascot, we talked about it on the Overtime Show. The honorary mascot is the duck that flew onto the field just seconds before the blocked punt that was returned for a touchdown by J.J. Russell. Bucky the Ducky. We had a guy called the Overtime Show who claimed, I think he said, I claimed the domain, the website, BuckyTheDucky.com or something or another.
Yeah, I heard that. He pulled over on the side of the road and paid to purchase that domain.
He said he paid like the $20-something that he paid, $23, $26, whatever it was, to get the domain, BuckyTheDucky.com. But I don't know. Oregon forgot, when the game actually started, because that game was over in the second quarter. 34-0, boom, good night, thanks for coming. Now, I think Texas, and I picked Texas, so I'm going to stick with them. I think they can play with Ohio State. I think they can play with anybody. And Quinn Ewers was exceptional. 4th and 13, making an incredible throw, and then he made the touchdown. He made some big plays when his team absolutely needed it, with their season on the line. I like him, by the way, as an NFL prospect. I mean, he's tough. He's not big, but he's got a quick release. He can move around a little bit. The injury concern is something that you'll have to keep in mind. By the way, and here's the other thing I wanted to talk about. He's got 1 year left of eligibility. And Arch Manning, not Arch Stanton, by the way, is going to be the starting quarterback for Texas next year. And he's got a whole bunch of NIL money, too, to back him up. Speaking of which, Quinn Ewers is going to have to make a decision after the season because he has 1 year of eligibility. And there are rumors that he's got an offer on the table for millions in NIL money. Millions from a number of different schools if he decides to enter the transfer portal. Millions. And where he ends up going is anybody's guess. But gone is the day, and I was trying to explain this to young Mathis. Now that you've got NIL here, in years past, you were talking about a guy, whether or not he would jump to the NFL because he wanted to make that money right away. And look, let's be honest. I mean, money has been doled out in college football for many years. For a lot of years, it used to be under the table, illegally. You don't tell on me, I won't blow the whistle on you. And that went on for years upon years and years. Now, everything is on the table. Everything is on the table. And there has to be a way of regulating this because this is out of control. Because you've got dozens of players who are getting 6 figures, 7 figures to go from this place to that place. And it just happens like that in a snap of a finger. But you got a guy in Quinn Ewers who is absolutely going to get a lot of money in the millions to transfer somewhere if that's what he decides to do, or he can go to the NFL. Look what that transfer quarterback got from Duke. Darian Mensah, 2 years, $8 million. He came over from Tulane. That's crazy. But that's how it is now. Usually, years ago, well, am I going to stay in school or am I going to jump and get the money? Guess what? You can now stay in college and still get paid while you ready yourself for the NFL. And if you know you're going to be a top 5 or top 10 pick, that's when you go pro. Where's my money, bitch? Pretty much. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. The Sugar Bowl gets started at 4 o'clock. Rick Stroud will be with me at that time. Mike Nabors in studio at 5 o'clock. Let it ride a little bit later on. We'll take you all the way up until 7 o'clock. Your calls and texts coming up on the way back. Can the Lightning keep their winning ways going? Can they keep their high-octane offense churning tonight? We'll discuss it. Constructing a W is coming up next.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
Guys, be careful out there. Gosh, I don't know how many stories that we saw with the fog and the irresponsibility of people being out on the roadways on New Year's Eve. That's why I didn't go out. I just stayed. I walked to my sister's house. I walked home. I was at my neighbor's for a little while, too. Well, you saw all these wrong way driver accounts where people are killed. You don't want that to happen. Be careful on the roadways. I was involved in an injury accident, as you know, a few months ago. And I called Catania, and they are representing my best interests at this point. They've got my back. They'll have your back, too. They're the personal injury law firm that has had your back for the last 30 years. They work on a contingency, which means there's no cost to you unless they win. And they've been doing plenty of winning. Almost $1 billion with a B has been recovered by my guys for injury victims just like you. So protect yourself, protect your loved ones. If you or someone you love happens to be the victim of a car accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, product liability, medical malpractice, God forbid, wrongful death, these are the guys you need to call to ring in the new year. 813-222-8545. You can get a free evaluation of your case at 813-222-8545.
.org.
If you want your windows there in weeks, pick up the phone and just search Reese.
Now back to The Drive with TKras on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. Constructing a W, presented by CMK Construction.
All right, welcome back on the show. Lightning are in action tonight, Chris Mathis.
That they are. Your Tampa Bay Lightning will take on the San Jose Sharks, a team that is struggling mightily right now, so it shouldn't be too difficult. But, Tom, I know you got the Bolts, so construct a victory here for Tampa Bay.
Good for Kucherov!
Well, it's that line. Kucherov, Point, Gensel. They have been absolutely prolific, and so have the Lightning. They've won 7 of their last 10, and over that stretch, they're averaging 4 goals a game. So, offensively, this team has been just really, really good. And Braden Point is one of the main reasons why. He's got 23 goals already on the season. The calendar just flipped to 2025, and my guy, Blackjack Braden Point, has got 23 goals to go along with 20 assists. Jake Gensel, the newcomer, has been pretty good over that last 10-game stretch that I just talked about. He's got 9 goals. So this Lightning team, man, are lighting teams up. And by the way, they played already a couple of weeks ago, and the Lightning pounded the Sharks 8-1 behind 2 goals from Brandon Hagel. So I expect this offense to roll later on tonight out in San Jose.
And you mentioned 8. That was the final score, 8-1. The Bolts beat San Jose. The Sharks have lost 8 consecutive games heading into this matchup here tonight. So it's been pitiful. Forget the Sharks. They're playing more like minnows out there out west. So the Tampa Bay Lightning should have, I think, a field day. But if the San Jose Sharks do want to compete in this game, maybe pull off an upset at home, they will have to rely on Macklin Celebrini, who has 4 goals, 8 assists over his last 10 games played. That's about all they've got working for them right now out in San Jose.
Macklin Celebrini. What a name.
Yeah, celebrate good times, right?
Yeah. Celebrate with Celebrini. There isn't much to celebrate out there. Constructing a W presented by my guys over at CMK Construction. Thank you, Coop. By the way, I got a text from my guy Manny, the owner of CMK Construction. He was up in New York. He went to a Knicks game, and he sent me a picture. The dude was sitting practically courtside at Madison Square Garden. Yes! Jalen Brunson with 55 points. I'm like, I am so jealous right now. So my guys, Manny and Courtney from CMK Construction, are proudly serving Tampa Bay and Sarasota communities. They do great work. If you're looking to refurbish your kitchen or your bathroom for the new year, these are the guys you need to call. 813-321-4426, or hit them up online. Get a free consultation there as well at cmkconstructioninc.com. Together, we'll make tomorrow brighter. You got Rick Stroud coming up in about 10 minutes. Mike Nabors in studio at 5 o'clock. Let's go to our phones. First phone call of 2025 here on The Drive. Opie is out in beautiful Treasure Island. Opie, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, TKras. I just wanted to say I have a mobile car detailing business, and unfortunately, I always have to work on Sundays, and I've done everything in my power my whole life to make sure I was off on Sunday so I can watch football. But then I started tuning into you guys, and I'm listening from the fishing report to the insiders to the pregame to your postgame. And I just want to say thank you. Happy New Year, because you made my Sundays awesome. I get to listen to you guys while I make money and make my friends happy. So thank you.
I love it, Opie.
Merry New Year!
Thank you very much, and have a wonderful 2025. I like that. That's a great call. That's the anti-mailbag type of call.
Yeah, that was a great way to kick off 2025 here on the program. First caller of 2025, Opie, with kind words.
Yes. Unfortunately, there's a couple of knuckleheads on the text platform. New Year, same old idiots on the text platform. You freaking people. And we do have the mailbag coming up tomorrow. How come there hasn't been a mailbag? Shut up! By the way, over the last week, I think I told you, Mathis, some guy, I don't know, it was on Instagram or X or whatever. He goes, how come you're not working? I'm like, I didn't respond to the guy, but I'm just looking at this like, dude, whatever. And it was one guy, I think On the middle of Christmas Day. On one of our old posts from a couple of weeks ago, some guy on Christmas Day had a disparaging remark to say about yours truly. I can't stand this guy. Just shut up. Just shut up. This is what I do. Maybe you don't understand the concept. It's sports talk show host. That's what I do. I talk. And ignorant people like you should keep your fat mouth shut and your ears open. And you should be listening. Jeez Louise. 888-546-4620. So,
rip somebody's ass.
listen, I'm with you, Coach Golish. That was a heck of a game, by the way, on Christmas Eve. USF, what was that, 55 overtimes against San Jose State out in Hawaii. We got to get Coach Golish back on. Let's make that a priority maybe next week.
Yeah, that sounds like a game plan. We can definitely do that.
We got to rope him back in and find out how the trip to Hawaii went. And I know, thank you, Coach. And, the transfer portal, maybe, I don't know if any USF alums have deep pockets. Maybe they can make an offer to Quinn Ewers. I don't think they've got $6 million in their coffers. I could be wrong, though. There are some, deep-pocketed people. Some USF boosters. But if you're looking for a quarterback, these quarterbacks are available to the highest bidder, baby. Give me some of that. By the way, Sugar Bowl's coming up in a matter of minutes. Up in New Orleans, rescheduled from last night between Georgia and Notre Dame. I know Georgia's got the backup quarterback in there, the guy who runs a lot. What's his name? That's your boy there.
I don't know if I'd call him my boy, but I did follow him in high school because he played my rival high school throughout my
you know him.
Years. Yeah, I actually called. So he surpassed Deshaun Watson's all-time Georgia State record, Trevor Lawrence's all-time Georgia State record, and I was the broadcaster on the call for when he set the record. So it was pretty cool. His name's Gunnar Stockton. He can run the football pretty well. In high school, he could throw very well and dominated, but he struggled a little bit here at Georgia. I think this is his 4th year at Georgia, but he was once a 5-star quarterback. I think he's going to be solid. If he can limit himself to a turnover or less, I think Georgia takes care of business.
Well, Georgia's got to concentrate on running the football. I think their defense is solid. Riley Leonard, though, good quarterback, could move around a little bit. I can't go against Kirby Smart, and I like Marcus Freeman a lot. I think Georgia wins in a very close game.
And you know what? They don't have Carson Beck, who's just lobbing him up to the other team and seeing ghosts. They don't have to worry about that.
Boy, oh boy.
No. You're insulting.
You're getting a little out of yourself. All right, log on now to the contest page at 953wda.com for your shot to beat the Pro, which is coming up tomorrow on the drive.
Say that again.
Yes, Jason Light. And if Jason Light wants to play, I think he's eligible. I'm not sure. You can qualify for a 5-night stay in an oceanfront suite plus airfare, food, and a free round of golf at the Buccaneer Resort in St. Croix. Hit up the contest page now and register to beat the Pro on Tampa Bay's home for football. 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. Look at this text. Do you see this text here? Did you start the show by saying people should be a little nicer, a little kind? Yes, I did. And I'm talking to people like you on the text platform. I got one thing to say to you. Take I-95 North. Take this. Take these nuts up I-95. You don't tell me what to do, pal. I've been here for 21 years. I've done more for this area than you've ever done. So the whole take I-95 to go back, this is home for me. Deal with it. And if you can't deal with it, you take your ass someplace else. The truth hurts, doesn't it, Habsburg? All right, 1 hour down, 3 more hours to go. Coming up, this is what the Buccaneers wanted. They control their own destiny. Can they get it done Sunday against the Saints? We'll talk about the Pro Bowl. Which Buccaneers made it? Which Buccaneers got snubbed? Is Shaq Barrett going to play on Sunday? So many questions. We'll get some.
radio station. It's Thursday from Wesley Chapel to Fishhawk and all around Tampa Bay, plus worldwide on iHeartRadio.
The gloves are off. I'm playing hardball. It's 4th and 15, and you're looking at a full court press.
You're tuned into the voice of the Tampa Bay sports fan.
You're going to like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us.
Buckle up, because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Need to be talked about for this game to get in the playoffs. You probably don't need to be here. We understand what's at stake.
Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers control their own destiny. A win Sunday against the Saints, and they're in. They can also get in, by the way, if the Falcons happen to lose to the Carolina Panthers. But going into the final weekend of the regular season, this is where you want to be if you're a Buccaneer fan or the head coach of the Buccaneers as well. Good afternoon, Tampa Bay. Happy New Year. Welcome back. It is The Drive with TKras presented by Moss Nissan, and it's great to have you with us for our first show of 2025.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. In this country, we say Happy New Year. Chris Mathis on the other side. Your calls and texts are always welcome. We'll take you up until 7 o'clock. So the Buccaneers have a lot going for them. The Falcons and Raheem Morris not knowing how to use his timeouts certainly haunted the Falcons on Sunday night and gave the Buccaneers new life. And now the Buccaneers control their own fate. Will they get it done against their arch rivals, the New Orleans Saints, on Sunday? Let's get to the Central Florida Behavioral Health Network DA hotline. Learn more at cfbhn.org. He's standing by. Rick Stroud, Tampa Bay Times. You can read him at tampabay.com. Covers the Bucs in the NFL. And Rick joins me here for the first time in 2025. Happy New Year, Rick.
Happy New Year, Tom. I'm sure the Bucs are hoping the ball does not drop on Sunday.
Good one. I like that one. So give me your thoughts. I'm sure you were watching that game on Sunday night as well. Look, the Bucs easily disposed of the Panthers, and then they had to sit down and watch that game like everyone else. I know Baker was watching it with a whole bunch of old linemen, but how about that game Sunday night of Raheem Morris not knowing when to use his timeouts? And that's probably going to be haunting him for quite a while.
Yeah, I wish I'd have gone to bed like Todd Bowles, but, I did stay up, and it's unfortunate for Raheem, who we know and I like a lot. Those are tough situations. You got to have somebody telling you or reminding you. They have enough people on the sideline and upstairs to tell you to use that timeout. They're trying to get up to the line of scrimmage fast and all of that, and it just doesn't matter. You want as much time. Obviously, if they'd have gotten another, 6, 7, 8 yards, 10 yards maybe, that field goal is good, and it doesn't go to overtime. But, what a gift for the Buccaneers to have new life, and that's why, you got to do it in a 17-game season. Now they got to finish the deal. Now they get a New Orleans team that's, just one win better than the team they played last week. And quite frankly, with what's on the line, the Bucs should finish the deal.
They should. And New Orleans should be overmatched. We don't know about Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara. There's maybe some word that they could be healthy enough to play on Sunday, although, they're still banged up as well. So the Bucs have a lot going for them. They'll be at home on Sunday. They control their own fate. And look, the play of Baker Mayfield, NFC Offensive Player of the Week. He had a great game against Carolina this past week. Unfortunately, Rick, it wasn't good enough for him to make the Pro Bowl, even though he's third in the league in passing yards, and he's among the league leaders in touchdown passes. He's second in that category, tied for second with Lamar Jackson, but not good enough to make the Pro Bowl. And I kind of think that maybe this week will be another reminder or another motivation for him to go out there and say, oh, yeah, I'm not ready or good enough to make the Pro Bowl. Watch this, right?
Yeah, well, he never runs out of shoulder chips, right? I mean, this is a guy that walks around that way, and so it's just a little bit more fuel for him. But he doesn't play for that. We were talking to Liam Cohen, and if you believe these two guys, Liam said that he called to congratulate him about winning, NFC Player of the Week for the second time in 3 weeks, and he said that Baker really didn't even know, what his numbers were, nor did he care. So that's a little, whether that's true or not, who knows? But I've talked to Baker a bunch these last couple of years, including before the season began, and he's keenly aware of one thing, that at the quarterback position, you're judged on winning. There's the head coaches have records they keep records for quarterbacks, and they don't keep them for anybody else. And you can be a Josh Allen or some of these guys that will win MVPs, but if you don't win a Super Bowl, there's always going to be something missing, right? That's why you play, and that's how you're judged ultimately as a quarterback is through winning. He's done enough winning, to win one NFC championship, NFC South championship. He's got a chance now on Sunday to win two, and then it's about the postseason. You have to do it there. So the irony is that the guys that are on that Pro Bowl team at quarterback, he's beaten two of them except for Sam Darnold, which you might see in the playoffs somewhere down the road. So, but usually a quarterback is in the Super Bowl, or they stay home, or something happens, and I would expect him to find his way to Orlando like he did a year ago. But this is his best year in football as far as pro football goes. He's played great, and the numbers he's putting up. I mean, Tom, if he threw 4 more TDs, which is not out of the realm of possibility against his Saints team, but he would tie Tom Brady for the franchise most. That's the sort of, and he's already going to probably get number 2 most touchdowns in franchise history. So, just an outstanding year, but again, it will be lacking for a lot if he can't get his team to the postseason.
Rick Stroud, Tampa Bay Times, TampaBay.com is with me here on the drive, and hopefully he can throw some of those touchdowns on Sunday to number 13, Mike Evans, who's right there on the precipice of 1,000 yards for an 11th straight year. He needs 85 yards, Rick. There is no Marshawn Lattimore on the other side. I know there's a couple young guys who can play. The Saints play a lot of man. Alante Taylor, we'll see what happens. But Mike has got the matchup advantage. The Bucs know that. I know Baker talked to you guys this week about wanting to get Mike the ball, wanting to get the 85 yards, which I think he's going to get on Sunday, but trying not to force it into him. But that's going to be kind of hard to do, right?
Well, but, it isn't. I think that if the game goes the way they want it and need it to go, the passing game goes through Mike Evans anyway. And Liam Cohen has done a pretty good job in the games they've won of getting Mike involved early, and often. And so, because that's what you want to do with your best playmaker, your best receiver. Now, they've done a good job of moving him around and trying to prevent those double teams. If you just stick him outside the whole day, you're going to have a safety over the top, and you might get a couple shots down the field, maybe. But you're not going to have a high volume of throws. And you want Mike involved because he can run after the catch. He can help you control the football and catch balls inside. So I think you'll see him, and we have seen him more in the slot than he's ever been. And then he has a two-way go. And, I really do think that they will get him the football. If it comes down to it and they have a lead, they can run pop passes to the guy all day and hope he gets to 85. But what's interesting about this is not so much, I don't hear Jerry Rice's name all that much, although, arguably the greatest football player of all time. That's who we're talking about here, Ty and Jerry Rice. But what you hear from everybody, including on that football team and in the community, is, they want it for Mike because of what Mike represents. Not only has he been an unbelievable player, obviously, with his record, but also just has done it the right way. Not a guy that's screamed for the football, a ton of different quarterbacks, didn't complain, didn't make the playoffs for so many years. And he plays with an attitude. I think what you miss about Mike is just how damn competitive he is. And I know when they took the field the other day, he was screaming at some guys about, being the most physical team and we got to bring this to them. And he wants to win so damn bad that I can't see him going out there and not being a big, big part of this.
Shaq Barrett was signed a few days ago, Rick, as we know. You and I spoke about this on Sunday. He's at practice this week. What are the chances he suits up and plays on Sunday against New Orleans?
Well, I think he's going to play. I think he's going to play, and I don't know how many plays. He's not ready to play a full football game. We talked to him today. He said he's been working out for about a month, which is not a long time. So he's not ready to, he's not in football shape, obviously. He hadn't worn any shoulder pads or taken a hit. But there's a couple things about Shaq Barrett. First of all, we learned, and I thought this was interesting, that he wasn't really thinking about coming out of retirement until there was some inquiries about him from other teams, and namely, the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles, two playoff teams in the NFC. And so, that got him thinking that, well, if there's teams that think I can still help them, why don't I try to help the home team? And of course he had to go through the process because the Miami Dolphins owned his rights. They were not just going to put him out there. They were mad, frankly, that he signed a contract, in March, and then 2 days before training camp decided to retire. So, they weren't just going to waive him right away. And so they waited till there were just 2 weeks left in the season. And then they put him on waivers. If he'd been claimed, he still couldn't have been able to play if there's some sort of rule, but he did clear waivers. And I think that, having him back in the building is good for some of those outside pass rushers. I mean, if nothing else, they had a good day last week knowing he's coming. And so, competition is good. But Shaq is at a stage in his career where he will mentor those guys the way he was mentored in Denver. And more than that, the great thing about, making an impact, you only got to get to the quarterback once, and you can change a game. And he's certainly capable of that. So we'll see. We'll see if they get into some good rush situations where he comes in sort of as that specialist. And if he can't get to the quarterback, he'll certainly draw some fire from some other guys.
He will, absolutely. So Sunday should be, another game for the Buccaneers and the Saints to go at it, and Shaq Barrett could be right in the middle of it all. And, the Pro Bowl selections were announced today, even though Baker Mayfield didn't make it. Tristan Wirfs and Vita Vea both absolutely deserving, Rick. They both made it, right?
Yeah, they're first teamers, and I think they got that right. Obviously this is the fourth straight Pro Bowl for Tristan, who switched, from right tackle to left tackle a year ago. That guy's going to put on a gold jacket. If he plays 4 more years, he'll have 8 Pro Bowls. If he plays 5 more years, he's going to have 9. I mean, that's just the way the arc that he's on, if he's fortunate enough to stay healthy. And, Vita Vea, this is his best year, I think, that I've seen him play. The numbers would say that. Certainly, he's got, 6 sacks or something like that. But more than that, he really kind of rededicated himself after that playoff loss in Detroit. He told Jason Light, I'm going to come back in the best shape I've ever been in. He spent the time with Ndamukong Suh in Portland. And he's had a motor like we've not seen, and this guy, is using his hands right. He takes on double teams every play. He's relentless. We saw him drop into coverage in Dallas. That was still a play we should be talking about if they'd have won that game, where he stops him on third down, knocks the tight end down 2 yards short of the first down. So he's just had a great year. And everybody in football that has to game plan for this guy just knows how powerful and how disruptive he is. And so, it's really great for Vita to get his second selection.
He's been dominant. He absolutely deserves to be there. And, you can't run against the Buccaneers because of what he provides in the middle of that defense. Kalijah Kancey's also feeding off it as well. Yep. Here's another big question, Rick. I know we got another home game, final home game of the regular season. Will the honorary mascot, Bucky the Ducky, be in the building on Sunday? That's what I want to know.
Well, I guess that's up to the Duck because he was released. It was a catch and release program. And I wrote a story in the Tampa Bay Times and on TampaBay.com. There's a real interesting character in all of this, and he's one of the flag runners for the Bucs. And his name is Anchor Brandt. What better name for a team like the Buccaneers than to have an anchor? And so Anchor Brandt was eventually took possession of said mallard. He grew up in the Gainesville area. He grew up on a farm. He knows how to handle critters, I guess. And so he bent down and got at eye level with the duck and managed to get close enough without it flying away or running away or whatever it was. We've seen the pictures, and on his way out, a lot of people wanted to take pictures of Bucky, Ducky the Buck or whatever. And so it's a cool story. He did go outside and they had a moment, and he released him and the duck didn't fly away right away. And Anchor was like, hey, I got to go back to work. So, but Anchor is unmistakable in his own right. He's got the great mullet and his name is interesting. He was named that because both his parents were in the Navy, and I guess he was a very large child when he was born, so hence the term Anchor. But yeah, it's a cool story, and it's really, the Bucs social media team has gone wild with this. They've changed their profile page picture and all these things to. This is how stuff gets started, Tom. This is how a duck becomes, the representative of the Bucs, right? The Buccaneers. So we'll see if the mallard flies back into the building on Sunday. That's a pretty good sign.
I think that would be a great sign. By the way, you referenced it before. I find it very hard to believe that with your playoff hopes like riding on the line, that Todd Bowles falls asleep early on Sunday night and doesn't watch that Falcons game. I'm calling BS on that, Rick. There's no way. There's no way he falls asleep. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm going to tell you he did. And I'll tell you why. And people don't understand this unless you're around it and you know the hours these guys put in. Because I know the hours I put in and you put in. When you have to get up and game plan and you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I did morning radio for 5 years there. You can't stay awake. I mean, it's not even a choice. As bad as and the thing about Todd is, too, Todd knows he can't control the outcome of that game. So to sit there and lose sleep, right, which is what you were going to do, and then maybe not get the right outcome. So what just happened there? Okay, so you didn't gain anything, and now you've lost all this time and energy that you need to apply towards the next game plan. And and the same is true if you just stay up and they win. Now the game means even more, and you're like, wow, I wish I had those 4 or 5 hours back. Todd, I'm sure, was up very early Sunday. I know he was up early, the whole week before that. And the man is 61 years old. So, I mean, give him a break here. I think it's people that lose their minds over that it's like, oh, see, he doesn't care. No, he cares. He cares too much. And he can't control that outcome, but he's going to do everything he can to prepare himself, to prepare his team to play well on Sunday. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say, they're not coaching them hard enough, they're not doing the right things, and then expect the guy to go without sleep and focus on something he has no control over. So I do think he's telling the truth. Maybe he watched a little bit of the first half and thought it wasn't going to happen. That's the other part of it, right? Like, it can be maddening for any Bucs fan that sort of watched that. But either way, they got the outcome they needed, and now they have to finish the deal. Or, like I said, we might be having different discussions about Todd Bowles.
I'll get you on this. I think he gets it on Sunday. You think Mike Evans gets the 85-plus yards that he needs?
Yeah, I do, barring an injury or something cataclysmic. I think what will happen is, and they've done this in a number of games where they've gotten the ball to him in the first drive quite a few times. We know he can run the slants, the dig routes. I think you'll see him line up inside. Obviously, he's a weapon on the goal line. They love to run those fades and some of those pick plays down there. But there's going to be a lot of energy in that building. And, the danger is that, Liam has to be careful he doesn't, try to force it. If they can run the football, and they should be able to against New Orleans, they certainly did the last time they played them, then that should be what they do. But I think like with any good player, I think you get him those yards and those catches early to get him into the rhythm of the game. And I think organically, 85 is more yards than you realize in an NFL game for Mike, on average. But there's just so much riding on it that if it comes to it in the fourth quarter and you have a lead, they'll be throwing pop passes to him and putting him in motion and, doing anything they can just to keep the ball in his hands. And those guys are going to block like hell downfield for him too. I mean, this whole team, this whole community is going to lift him, and I think it's going to be quite a celebration on Sunday. It'll be disappointing if he doesn't, that's for sure. But again, the biggest thing will be whether he has a game after this one.
You can read him at the Tampa Bay Times at tampabay.com. He'll be with me on Sunday for Countdown to Kickoff. You can also listen to him Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for the Insider Show too with Pat Donovan and Scott Reynolds. He's Rick Stroud at TampaBay.com. Rick, I appreciate a few minutes as always. Happy New Year, and we'll talk this weekend, buddy.
Hey, Happy New Year. Thanks a lot, Tom. See you.
You got it. See ya. That's Rick Stroud. Great stuff there. He did have the story on the duck, which the Buccaneers social media team absolutely is taking that, and they have absolutely run off with it. It's funny. I like it. The duck. It's a duck. It's a cute little duck, too. Cute little guy that got on the field there. Guy, girl, whatever. Cute little ducky. Bucky the ducky. No score in the first quarter between Notre Dame and Georgia. The Sugar Bowl is going on right now. They just got started a few minutes ago up in New Orleans. Of course, that game was supposed to take place last night, but due to the tragedy on New Year's Eve down in Bourbon Street, it was postponed until today. We'll keep you updated on that. 888-546-4620. Your thoughts on the Buccaneers and the Saints and Mike Evans. Shaq Barrett is going to play. You heard Rick just mention that. We'll get your calls and texts on all of that coming up in a matter of moments. And we'll also take a look at the college football scene, the college football playoffs, and the wildness that is the NIL saga, which is taking another turn. Should it be?
But yeah, that is a dream. Does that need to happen when I'm 39 years old and having probably the most fun of my life, coaching and working and being here? No, that doesn't mean that needs to occur right now. But yeah, that is the goal. That is absolutely the goal.
Bucs offensive coordinator Liam Cohen talking today about wanting to be a head coach in the NFL, and he'll be one of the hottest head coaching candidates after the season. He's got a Buccaneer offense right now in the top 5 in scoring offense, passing offense, total offense, and it's all due to, obviously, the talent. The offensive line's been tremendous. Baker's having a Pro Bowl type of year, even though he was snubbed for the Pro Bowl today. But the orchestrator has been that guy right there, Liam Cohen, and his innovative play concepts, especially when it comes to the run game. It's gone next level for the Bucs as they're getting set for Sunday's game against the Saints at Ray J at 1 o'clock. Win and you're in. That's where you want to be if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan. Welcome back. It is The Drive with yours truly, TKras, Tom Krasnick with you. Hope you had a wonderful new year. You got Chris Mathis on the other side. Our first show of 2025, 888-546-4620. We've got a game going on right now. Oh, that was a nice throw by your boy over the middle on a quick slant.
He's heating up, right? He's heating up.
Yeah, heating up.
His high school numbers are truly insane, though. I mean, if you look at his high school numbers, you'd think this guy's that next dude. Just hasn't necessarily translated there at Georgia quite yet, but today's his opportunity to do so.
I can't believe that guy from Notre Dame didn't knock that pass down. Did you see where that ball went?
Dude, how did
right in between his helmet and his arm, the Notre Dame defensive lineman who jumped up, and he was trying to knock that pass down. That was incredible. Right now, Georgia with the ball right around midfield. Another quick slant. Hey, you got to keep throwing these slants, and another first down for Georgia in the Sugar Bowl as they're playing for the right to take on Penn State next week. In the semifinals of the college football playoff, Notre Dame and Georgia are scoreless midway through the first quarter up in New Orleans. Of course, we'll keep you updated on that game as this show progresses. Mike Nabors will join me coming up at 5 o'clock. Let it ride at 5:30 as we'll take you until 7 o'clock. I'll tell you what college game, I was over a buddy of mine's house, and outside of the playoff games, and a lot of them haven't been all that great, honestly. Texas's comeback, thanks to Quinn Ewers, who may or may not enter the transfer portal. We talked about him in the first hour of the show. 4th and 13, tremendous play. The play after that, another tremendous play. Kept Texas alive. I still think Texas wins this, although, Ohio State right now has been by far the most impressive team. What they did to Oregon the other night was just mind-blowing. 34-0 in the second quarter. That game was over against the number 1 team in the country. Just incredible. So the other game that I saw a few nights ago that obviously didn't get a whole lot of pub because it's a lesser-known bowl game, but I was wildly entertained by the Holiday Bowl, where Syracuse outscored Washington State 52-35. And the reason why I was so intrigued by that game is Washington State had all these guys that went into the transfer portal. So they were fielding like a skeleton crew against a Syracuse team. And that Washington State team fought their ass off. Undermanned team, fought all the way to the end. Syracuse obviously had too much firepower, especially offensively, to win that game. But I was entertained by that game in particular. And I saw the Pop-Tarts Bowl with my guy Rocco Beck and Iowa State outscoring Miami 42-41. The controversy there was Cam Ward playing the first half so he could get the stupid record. And then he sat out the second half. That one didn't sit well with me. I guarantee you, I don't think some of his teammates, liked it either.
He's a bum.
Let's go to our phones. Daryl is in Tampa. Daryl, Happy New Year. What's going on over there?
Happy New Year, TKras. You brought up a couple of things. I guess the last one, that one didn't sit well with me either. And I understand NIL and the records and stuff, but you can't do that. You can't do that. And you played interview with your with our offensive coordinator. I understand he wants to be a head coach. Brian, Joel, if you had Tom Brady flown over to England and you gave him more money to come back, we need I'm tired of the Dallas Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers, Pittsburgh Steelers, New England Patriots, and their history. Why we can't have that here? And I pushed for that after we won our last Super Bowl. Why can't we have that here? That's what I'm saying. And the last thing I want to say is whack, 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 whack.
Get out of here with that. That's very good. That's very good.
Come on, get out of here!
Why can't you have what here?
I think he means maybe lineage of having a consistent.
Well, look, I mean,
coordinator.
this is what winning entails. This is the downside of winning. You're winning. You won 3 straight division titles, even though people still want the head coach fired. Go figure. But Dave Canales had some success, not necessarily as a play caller, but how he was a mentor to the quarterback, Baker Mayfield. Before that, Geno Smith. That's why he got the job in Carolina, because of Bryce Young. And I think he's doing a good job with Bryce Young. But this is the pitfall when it comes to winning in the NFL. Players are going to want more money, and assistant coaches are going to want a promotion. Everybody wants to be a head coach in this league. And Liam Cohen mentioned that today. You can't stop the guy from going to be a head coach somewhere else. Now, the Glazers may very well step up. They could offer him more money. They can make him the highest paid offensive coordinator and give him a fancy title like senior assistant head coach or something or another. You could do all those things, but if he gets offered an opportunity, which I think he will this offseason, he's probably going to take it. Now, if I were him, I would absolutely be very picky in terms of jobs. He will get multiple head coaching interviews, and based on what he's done with Baker Mayfield in this offense, he's going to get multiple job offers, I would imagine. But if I were him, I think if you're going to be in demand, then you have the right to maybe wait for the best opportunity. And that would be my little piece of advice that's worth about 5 cents to Liam Cohen. And I don't have to tell him that. I think he's going to be a grown person and a grown man, and he's going to make up his mind whenever that time comes. But if I were him, I wouldn't take the Jets job. I can tell you that. Because I think the owner's a buffoon. And I wouldn't take the Saints job either. Because I think the Saints are in an awful position. We'll talk about it with Mike Nabors. He's going to join me in studio at the top of the hour. They're upside down in the salary cap. They have no quarterback to build on. Don't give me the Spencer Rattler stuff. I don't think he's good enough to be an everyday starter in the NFL. And if you look at their roster, I'm looking at their roster. I mean, which young building blocks are you excited about on that Saints team? Nobody. Cam Jordan's close to retirement. So is DeMario Davis. Chris Olave, if he can stop hitting his head, he might be useful. They got nobody else. That roster is doomed. And honestly, there should be no reason for the Buccaneers to lose to that team on Sunday. None whatsoever. Let's go to Todd. Todd in Tampa. How you doing?
Great. Happy New Year and God bless you. Let's get down to business, fellas. Okay, this is big business right here. This is the New Orleans Saints. It's a division game. Okay, I don't want to hear nothing about the records. His coach is coaching his butt off to try and get the interim tag removed. Without Mike Evans, ain't nobody getting no coaching promotion. Okay, that's our meal ticket with Bucky Irving. Okay, just want to remind you, receiver, way to spread the ball around, Baker, and hit the open receiver in the end zone for touchdown. Okay, way to hit Mike Evans on a 1-yard touchdown pass. Okay, 2 hands on the football when we get inside the red zone, and our first option is always number 1-3 in our program. Okay, that's our first option. Okay, that's what we're looking for. And defense, Shaq. Remember, Okay, we're just getting you ready for the playoffs. We're going to win this game. We're going to win this game. We're going to beat the Saints. And I'm telling you that you beat the Lions, and you're a 2-point play away, a coaching decision away from beating the Kansas City in their house. Don't tell me we're not as good as anybody else. This is the rules they set up of the game. Okay, we win this game. We punch our ticket. We're as good as anybody. I don't care what anybody says, especially when the defense comes to play and catches 100 balls after practice. When they hit him in the hands, J.R. Russell, you catch it, snatch it, tuck it away with two hands, have your head on a swivel, and get into the end zone. Okay, way to go, Joey T, with the block punt. Great job on special teams. Buccaneers get it done 28-17 this weekend, 28-17 Bucks, and we're on our way. And we're not just happy for a home playoff game. We can beat anybody, anywhere, anytime. Way to go, Bucks. God bless you. Way to go, Baker. You're the man. Peace.
All right, Todd. That's Todd in Tampa. Fire them cannons. Get them going. Mike Evans with a whole heap of 1-2 on the cusp of an 11th straight 1,000-yard receiving season. We'll talk to Mike Nabors at the top of the hour about all things Bucs and Saints. He's also got a new book that's out. And we'll talk to him about that. 888-546-4620. That's the phone number. Other news and notes from the NFL. Buccaneers and Falcons, they are vying for the final playoff spot on the NFC side. What about the AFC? What's happening there? And Baker Mayfield wasn't the only guy snubbed from the Pro Bowl. We'll discuss that, too, coming up next here on The Drive.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
Be careful on the roadways, guys. An injury accident can happen to anyone at any time. And whether it's an injury accident or a product liability or medical malpractice, you need to have the number one personal injury law firm in your corner for these said cases. I'm talking about Catania and Catania. They're watching out for me, and they'll certainly have your back as well. They work on a contingency, which means there's no cost to you unless they win, and they've done plenty of winning. Almost $1 billion has been recovered by my guys over the years for injury victims just like you. So protect your right to protecting mine. Give them a call. 813-222-8545. That's 813-222-8545. Or get a free evaluation of your case online at Catania and Catania.
tuned into the voice of the Tampa Bay sports fan.
You're going to like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us.
Buckle up, because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Well, we won 5 out of 6, so we got to win one more. And I like where we're playing right now. We just got to keep the mistakes down.
Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers control their own destiny Sunday at Ray J. Buccaneers and the Saints. A Bucs win, and they're in. They'll win the NFC South for the 4th consecutive year. Good afternoon, Tampa Bay, and Happy New Year. 5:05 on your ride home.
Merry New Year!
It is the first show of 2025. The Drive with TKras, presented by Moss Nissan. Chris Mathis on the other side. He's watching his childhood friend, quarterback the Georgia Bulldogs. They've got a 3-0 lead in the Sugar Bowl. 9 minutes left to go in the second quarter. We'll keep you updated on that one. That game is actually taking place up in New Orleans. It was postponed from last night because of the tragic terror attack that took place on New Year's Eve along Bourbon Street. Now, the Saints are getting ready for this week's game against the Buccaneers, and I think, and we'll bring in our next guest, and we'll get his thoughts, that maybe they could be the sentimental favorite. Certainly outside of Tampa Bay, a lot of people are going to be pulling for them, and they're going to be playing for the community of New Orleans after the tragic situation that just took place on New Year's Eve. Is that going to be enough, though, for an undermanned Saints team to give the Buccaneers a game or a run for their money? All right, joining me right now here in studio on the Central Florida Behavioral Health Network, DA Hotline. Learn more at cfbhn.org. Longtime Saints insider. He's also the author of his latest book, Don't Quit, Pivot, an inspirational read. Mike Nabors is with me here in studio. How are you, my man? Happy New Year.
Merry New Year, my friend.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good.
Merry New Year!
Happy New Year. In this country, we say Happy New Year.
I'm just following the format here today. Yeah. I'm good. I'm good.
How are things going? I like the book. We're going to ask you about the book. The foreword was written by our great friend Dick Vitale, right?
The best. Absolute best. We can talk about all he's meant to me, but people who don't know Dick Vitale and they see him on ESPN or they see him in commercials and they wonder if it's shtick or if he's the real deal. You know this, TKras. He is absolutely the real deal, and he's proven it to me many times in my life projects that I have initiated with him. And I reached out to him, and he hasn't had a good last couple of years. He's back on track, it seems like, and we hope to see him back on the air on ESPN. But he's always given me his time, and Dick Vitale is absolutely the real deal, and I really have enjoyed our friendship a great deal.
Well, he's about as genuine as they come. We love him here in the Tampa Bay area. Yes, he has been through some battles with cancer, and hopefully he's on the other side of it. But, we think the world of him. He is an absolute gift from heaven. Let's talk about this Saints team. Boy, they lost at home to the Raiders last week. I mean, this team is – I was looking at the injury report, and I don't know if Derek Carr or the criminal is going to play this week. That's
ouch. My goodness.
He's a criminal.
Off the bat.
He should be in jail.
One thing I have to take exception to, you don't like Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan is one of the nicest guys, I'm telling you.
Well, he's an antagonist, and I certainly – he is, because he doesn't like Tampa Bay. He likes to pick fights with Buccaneer players and fans on social media. And look, I understand it. I get what he's doing. I think he's a heck of a player, and I think he does have a Hall of Fame type of resume. But, he is somewhat of an antagonist. He's a very smart guy. I know that.
I will say this. I'll be surprised if he's not the NFL Man of the Year. From his rookie season when he was drafted with our buddy Mark Ingram, seems like eons ago, every Tuesday, that's the off day for the players. Cam Jordan, it doesn't matter if he's hurt. It doesn't matter a win or a tough loss. He's always there in the community. When you read his comments, and you see this with a lot of athletes, you're not sure the context really. But Cam Jordan's he's like a big teddy bear. He loves getting under the skin of the opponent. But it's hard to believe he can tackle anybody when you interview him. He's such a kind of an easy-going, funny guy off the field. But I gotta protect Cam Jordan, his reputation with you a little bit.
Of course.
Come on.
Of course you do.
Come on.
Yeah. But this Saints
because I listen to the show all the time, and I hear
and I'm glad you do. And You're like the only one, apparently.
Yeah.
But what's going on with the Saints team?
Oof.
I mean, they're brutal. Obviously, they fired Dennis Allen.
Yeah.
They lost at home to the Raiders last week. The Raiders, of all teams. I mean, Amir Abdullah, had 100 yards rushing against this defense. I mean, it's about as bad as it gets.
Does Chris Mathis have any game show music? I'm putting him on the spot here because I have a question for you guys. How bad it is.
Play some game show
for the New Orleans Saints. So you guys didn't know this was coming.
All right, here we go.
Let's play a little Did You Know? I don't know if that's a segment on the show if I'm stealing it. Did you know who the leading rusher for the Saints was against the Raiders? Did you know who that was?
Against Deuce McAllister.
That's my guy, by the way. I love Deuce McAllister.
I don't know. Kendre Miller?
Spencer Rattler, 46 yards.
Oof.
And one of those carries was over 20. He was the leading rusher against the Raiders. Okay, I'm going to take away the tight ends. The leading receiver, non-tight end for the New Orleans Saints. If any caller calls in and knows this, who's not in New Orleans, I'd be shocked by this.
Against the Raiders?
Against the Raiders, yes.
Oh, my gosh. Marcus Colston. No?
Who was never an All-Pro, by the way, which was an absolute crime.
Lance Moore.
No.
He's
but
not.
See, you're making my point for me because back in the day, my friend, it was all day Marcus Colston. It was all day Lance Moore. It was all day Devery Henderson and Robert Meacham. Dante Pettis was your leading receiver, exactly, for the New Orleans Saints, followed up by Kevin Austin and Cedric Wilson. And that is the state of the Saints right now. Good job, Chris Mathis. That was well done.
That is brutal.
It is brutal.
And if you look at this team, they're one of three teams that has already fired their head coach.
Yeah.
And I think their job is the worst job, without question.
Yeah.
Because Derek Carr, I don't know what you're doing with him. I wouldn't pay him $40 million next year. I know the Saints are upside down in salary cap hell. They don't really have any really promising young players that they can, hang their hat on and say, you know what, we're going to be building around this guy or this guy or this guy. I mean, because DeMario Davis, your guy Cam Jordan, all these guys are at the end of their rope. Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah.
So tell me about the state of the Saints right now.
Well, you think about it, it's a lot of bad teams at least have cap space. You can at least walk in a situation and maybe have some young stars. You mentioned the lack of playmakers. Right now, $48 million in dead money. And the dead money is 31 to Marshawn Lattimore, 9 to Michael Thomas, remember him?
Oh, yeah.
And 7 to your friend Jameis Winston. So the finances are not good. They're around $65 million over the cap right now.
That's horrendous.
$65 million. Worst in the NFL.
Well, and if they decide to move on from any of those guys, it's going to be worse.
Well, Derek Carr, if they get rid of him, $51 million cap hit. $51 million, TKras. You know what? For years, you and I have had a great relationship on the radio, and I've tried to kind of present the case for the Saints. If ever a Bucs fan can look at a Saints game and say, Uncle, it should be this one because it is the JV Saints. We just talked about the wide receivers. I just mentioned Spencer Rattler. I mean, Ryan Ramczyk, who may retire. His injury is so bad. The former Pro Bowl right tackle for the Saints, $29 million hit. And then you have Cam Jordan, it might be a $20 million hit. They have tried to restructure for many years. It's like your credit card, TKras, back in college that you kept charging and charging. Eventually, you got to pay the bill.
You got to pay it. You can't go through the minimum payment of $28.
Right.
You got to pay the bill. And, your guy Cam Jordan's probably going to have to take a pay cut if he wants to stay there.
You know what? It kind of reminded me of Breeze's last game, which seems like 1845 if you're a Saints fan, when he was throwing the football on the field and then Tom Brady came up to him and, they kind of had their moment. Cam Jordan came out of the locker room last week against the Raiders because the Saints know it's their last home game, and it was emotional. Before the game, he had a moment with his son, and then after the game, he signed a lot of autographs. And I think a lot of Saints fans are wondering if this is it for Cam Jordan. This year, to his credit, he played some D tackle, which he wasn't used to, and has had some decent plays throughout the year. But I would not be surprised if it's Cam Jordan's last game, and that's just another key figure on this football team that is going to go away, potentially.
Longtime Saints insider Mike Nabors is with me in studio. He's also the author of his latest book, Don't Quit, Pivot. We'll ask him about that in a matter of moments. So, this team should be ripe. The Buccaneers should put up 40 points against this team. They put up 51 points in the first meeting.
You know what's strange is Darren Rizzi kind of gave him that spark after Dennis Allen left, and a lifetime assistant coach, special teams guy, very popular in that locker room with your guy Alvin Kamara, especially.
Jesus,
but
I love Darren Rizzi. By the way, he was on this show over the summer, and
was he really?
Yes, because he was talking about the new kickoff rules.
Okay.
Because he was an advocate for that, and we had him on the show, and I thoroughly enjoyed talking to him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that is very popular and an extreme motivator, and a contrast to Dennis Allen in terms of personality. I mean, Dennis Allen is a very respected defensive coordinator, but really bland with the media. And I think some players in the locker room questioned a lot of his moves. But think about this, TKras. Remember the first 2 games of the year for the Saints?
Yeah.
They scored 91 points. Their next 7 combined, they scored 116 points. Dennis Allen is fired. You had some Rizzi magic for a while, but this team's in trouble right now. And it'd be one of the biggest surprises in my time covering sports if the Bucs lose this game, frankly.
So Derek Carr hasn't practiced at all this week. He's got a hand issue, so there's an issue with him gripping the football. I don't know if that's going to happen. The injury report just came out, and he did not practice again today.
That's not good.
Your boy, maybe he was out on parole. I don't know.
Man. My goodness.
No.
What did I jump into today?
Well, I didn't insult anybody. Alvin Kamara is the guy insulting people.
Oh, my goodness.
He's got a groin injury. He didn't practice today either.
Yeah. And you know what? You look at this offense, and I know you guys, every team has injuries, right? You've had your share on the defensive side of the football. Chris Godwin goes down. But for perspective, can you imagine if Mike Evans went down, if Chris Godwin went down, if Baker Mayfield went down, if both of your running backs went down? That's really the state of the Saints right now. I mean, they've had that kind of season where every week it's been something, and I think the bottom really fell out in this offense is when Taysom Hill went down. Because after that, they get shut out, the first shutout of the season in the NFL against the Packers, and then you lose to a Raiders team that's, you can make a strong argument, is the worst team in the NFL.
Awful.
Yeah.
I mean, vying for the number 1 pick, and they lost at home to the Raiders. What was it, 25-10?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, that's dreadful.
Yeah.
This seems dreadful.
They make the Raiders look like the Bills or the Chiefs or the whatever your upper echelon is. That's what I mean. But you know what? But look at what it is. I actually feel bad for Darren Rizzi, and I feel bad for Spencer Rattler because it's hard to judge them as a coach and a player respectively because of the lineup. I just read you the receivers. I mean, this is the JV Saints. It's not Chris Olave. It's not Rashid Shaheed. And it's not Alvin Kamara. And it's not Taysom Hill. I mean, this is a shell of what the team was supposed to be before the year. And the Bucs should certainly take advantage of this. This is not good news for the Atlanta Falcons to face a Saints team that's, I'm not sure if they could beat Georgia Notre Dame. What do you think?
And that was one of the Falcons' worst losses of the season is when they lost to the Saints. By 3 points.
It's been a strange year. And that was really when Darren Rizzi took over and you thought, well, maybe he can kind of jumpstart this team a little bit. But what's out of his control are all the injuries. I mean, I really feel for him because he's not going to get this job. But I think maybe he would have had a shot if he didn't have all these injuries. We'll never know that.
Longtime Saints insider Mike Nabors is with me. So you had this unspeakable tragedy that took place a couple of nights ago. And New Orleans is about as well as anybody. Just speak to just the culture, the environment there, and maybe, just maybe, that's the only thing that maybe the Saints will have in their corner is the fact that they're going to be playing for this entire community right now that's just shocked and appalled over just a senseless tragedy that took place, and maybe there's a little bit of emotion in their corner for Sunday. That's the only thing I can think of that they'll have going for them.
Yeah, you know what? I'm really impressed by the city of New Orleans, covering that team for 16 seasons, was the pride they have in the community. A large portion of the sportscasters in the New Orleans market are from New Orleans. And I remember when we would go to the Greenbrier for training camp, they would never really want to leave New Orleans. They like New Orleans. And really that's the people there. They like the city. They're very prideful. We have the best food. We have we're the best Super Bowl host. The Super Bowl is going to be there. That's going to be an interesting storyline.
Next month.
So there's a lot of emotions there. I remember taking over the Saints beat the year after Katrina and seeing the evolution of that city after Katrina. I mean, it's been through so much, and I just feel for them because they have so much pride, and they really they brag about that city unlike any really fan base or media base that I've ever seen.
It's just awful what is taking place there, and I don't know if they're going to use that as motivation, perhaps. We're playing for an entire community. Maybe that's the only thing that, keeps them going or gets them motivated. And obviously the Buccaneers on the other side, this is a heated rivalry. Now, a lot of that had to do with Mike Evans against Marshawn Lattimore, but Lattimore was traded.
Isn't it amazing how long that went on? I mean, you don't see rivalries like that in the NFL, TKras. Not to that degree, and not the longevity of two guys being on the same team. And there was chapter after chapter. And it was interesting how guys, you look at Evans and Lattimore, how they would play really at home compared to on the road. They would go back and forth in terms of who would have the better game. So, yeah, it's a shame we can't have that anymore.
What do you think the Saints are going to do after the season? I mean, where are they going to turn to? Because I know they're going to be about 7 or 8 openings, and theirs is going to be among the least desirable ones, in my opinion.
I think Aaron Glenn is the leading coach for that. The familiarity he's had in that organization and the success he's had as the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. I think if I had to pick a coach, that would be my favorite right now. I know he's really popular in that building. I mean, people forget how great a player, you know this.
Absolutely. He was a great player.
He was like a 3-time Pro Bowl player.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been a great coach, a very popular coach in that building. And I think a lot of people also forget Dan Campbell was on that staff with Aaron Glenn, with Sean Payton. And I know he's learned a lot with Dan Campbell. So I think they need a leader like that. But, boy, taking over that situation with the salary cap, with the dead money, with the lack of star power, and frankly, the quarterback is everything, and you know that. I mean, can Carr stay healthy? But even when he was healthy, he really wasn't a difference maker, especially in the red zone. So there are a ton of question marks. They're going to have a new head coach, and I'm going to say Aaron Glenn right now.
I think that's a good guess. He spent many years there as a defensive assistant, now defensive coordinator of the Lions, and I think that's a great guess. Your thoughts on the Bucs, where they're at right now? Their offense is top 5 in the league. It's incredible. Baker Mayfield snubbed for the Pro Bowl. We've been talking about that as well. But, give me your best guess as to the Bucs. Look, they should beat the Saints. They should hang 35-40 on them. They should make the playoffs, and that's a team that not a whole lot of people want to play.
That Cowboys game was a head-scratcher to me. I don't know what happened there because you look at your record this year, and you beat the Lions. You beat the Eagles. I think this is the ultimate perspective to kind of bring this conversation full circle. You look at the New Orleans Saints, TKras. Ever since Sean Payton and Drew Brees left New Orleans, they haven't been the same. But you have Bruce Arians and Tom Brady lead this organization, and they keep winning division titles. I know it's the NFC South, but they keep making decent. They won a game in the playoffs last year. They're contenders. You don't see that often in the NFL when you lose a quarterback the magnitude of a Tom Brady, a coach like Bruce Arians. I give Jason Light a lot of credit. They've had some exceptional drafts. They put in the right pieces in free agency. But compare their situation to New Orleans. I mean, as Saints fans, that Super Bowl in 2009 seems like eons ago. That Super Bowl the Bucs won is not that long ago, and they're still competitive. And you looked at their situation with the salary cap. They were able to turn that around quickly, draft well, and sign great free agents. You got to give the Bucs a lot of credit. I think that's the perspective maybe a fan base should have entering this game. You look at the Saints, even just a few years ago. Look at the Saints now. Look at the Bucs and what they went through a few years ago, and look at them now.
Second youngest team in the NFL.
Amazing.
And Jason Light's had some great drafts, and they've got some great young talent that they can build around. You can't say the same for the New Orleans Saints. All right, tell me about this book, Don't Quit, Pivot. So tell me about the inspiration behind this book and how people can get it.
Well, you know what? A lot of people have reasons to write books. I wrote a book with Drew Brees called The Brees Way. I never thought I would write that book. I didn't really think, if you asked me 10 years ago, I would ever write a book. But my career, frankly, has changed quite a bit in the last 5 years. I'm teaching full-time at Florida Southern College. I'm still in broadcasting, and I have a company here. You mentioned Central Florida Behavioral Health Network. That's a client of mine. I service a lot of nonprofits. But my career has taken a lot of twists and turns, and I never thought I could do anything but be a sportscaster. I think a lot of people listening have a job where you think, this is where I'm going to do the rest of my life. Maybe I like it, but I need a new challenge, or maybe I don't like my job and I need something new. I would encourage you to read this book because there's a lot of examples here, and Dick Vitale is my leadoff hitter. I mean, Dick Vitale was a basketball coach, never thought he would be a broadcaster. And that's what people will remember him for. That's how he made the Basketball Hall of Fame. I love teaching more than anything I've ever done. I give a lot of examples in this book of 5 sportscasters who, one's an auctioneer now, has developed a very successful company. One is selling food at almanacs, not almanacs, farmers markets, almanacs, What am I saying? But he's very successful. One is in real estate. One is a personal trainer. They have pivoted. But the key in this book is everyone uses skills they've acquired in their life to do something else. I've used skills as a broadcaster to teach now. Everyone listening right now has skills that you maybe take for granted. And don't think you're too young or too old. Because frankly, I've seen a lot of young people pivot. I got my master's degree at the age of 50, so I could teach. And that was an experience. I was definitely the oldest person in all those classrooms. So I have enjoyed my pivots. It's made me more secure in my professional life. And frankly, it's made me happier. So anybody listening, if you look at your job, you need a challenge, you're not happy, maybe you hate your job, Don't Quit Pivot is for you. It'll provide inspiration that it's never too early or too late to change your life for the good.
I love it. So get it wherever you get your books. So new year, new perspective. Maybe you can have a new outlook on life. Don't quit. Pivot. Mike Nabors. I appreciate having you in studio, my man.
Hey, I enjoyed it. We've been doing this a long time, and I've never seen the Saints as bad as previewing this game as I have this week.
Oh, my goodness. Which is good for the Bucs, I'm assuming. But I will talk to you on Sunday for Countdown to Kickoff, right?
Absolutely. And the book is on Amazon and Mike Nabors, N-A-B as in boy, O-R-S.com. If they want a signed copy, Tom, I don't know how many want a signed copy, but if you want one, that's the way to get the book to them.
I want a signed copy. Is this one signed? I don't know.
I was going to wait and see how the segment went. And I want to give you a quiz tomorrow. I want you to read the whole book tonight.
I don't know if I could do it tonight. I mean, I got a TV gig tonight, in fact. Be on Bay News 9, Bright House.
Man, I don't quite have that excuse, Tom.
I know. Mathis is getting a quiz
I'm
tomorrow.
reading this book because, maybe I know a lot of people on the text platform wish I can pivot to something else and not be here tomorrow. Mike, I appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you on Sunday.
All right, brother. Anytime.
Thanks for coming in. That's Mike Nabors, so go get it. Don't quit. Pivot. All right, coming up, we're going to pivot to the gambling portion of our show. There's a Lightning game tonight. There's some props for the game on Sunday between the Bucs and the Saints and college football and everything else. It is Let It Ride and is coming up next. Don't move.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
Be careful on the roadways, guys, because as I found out a few months ago, an injury accident can happen to anybody. And when it happens to you, get on the phone and get the personal injury law firm that's in my corner. They can be in your corner as well. Catania and Catania. They've been doing this for more than 30 years. They work on a contingency, which means they don't get paid unless you get paid. And they're always standing by to take your call 24/7, 365. So protect your right to protecting mine. And oh, by the way, they're proud to say that they have successfully recovered almost $1 billion over the years for injury victims just like you. So give them a call. You get a free evaluation of your case at 813-222-8545. That's 813-222-8545. Or hit them up online, Catania and Catania.
Sports, brought to you by Moss Nissan on WDAE.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day.
It's $500.
Yes, it is. Are you a dealer or an investment counselor?
I will splash the pot whenever the heck I please.
Come on, sir. Yeah, give me 5 times a piece on St. Louis, Minnesota, and Baltimore.
Let it ride on 13.
Yeah, how the hell can you grin? Come on, give me another marker. All right, it is time to play some action for entertainment purposes only. Let It Ride, presented by my guy, Dr. Jim DeRispino, the great people over at the Center for Men's Health, guys. Get it. C4MH.com. And here's your pit boss, Chris Mathis.
All right, your Tampa Bay Lightning return to action tonight. Glad that Eric Neander can hear us right here on this very program via that free iHeartRadio app. You know why? We don't know where Eric is right now. He might be doing some things for the upcoming season.
I'll tell you what, he's not getting enough offense on this team right now.
I don't think we've addressed the offense since we last talked.
Man. But we do know if he's listening and he's out of the market, he is using that free iHeartRadio app. But the Bolts take on the Sharks tonight. Sharks have lost 8 consecutive games. Oof. The Lightning, 1.5 goal favorites on the road. Over-under consistently says it's 6.5 in hockey. 6.5 right there.
Look, San Jose is dreadful again. And you mentioned their recent struggles. The Bolts have won 7 of their last 10. They're averaging 4 goals a game over their last 10. I think it continues tonight on the road. I think they're going to put on a show. I'll take the Lightning. I'll lay the 1.5. I think they're going to put up another healthy number on San Jose tonight. They beat San Jose 8-1 a couple of weeks ago. I think you might see more of the same tonight.
So basically, Bolts could hand them their 9th consecutive loss. The score of the last game, 8 + 1, 9, Tom. There we do math right here because I got it in my last name. All right, over under 1.5 assists for number 86, Nikita Kucherov.
You can't stop Nikita Kucherov. You can only hope to contain that guy. When Agent 86 is going, I mean, he drives that team, that line with Point and Gensel. Very explosive. So I think I'm going to go over on that. I think he has a 3-point night.
All right, and shots on goal, I'd venture to say you think, over 3.5 shots on goal tonight?
For Kuch?
Yeah, for Kucherov.
I think he'll go under. I think it'll be 2 or 3 shots. I think he'll be set. You know, he's one of those guys that when he decides to shoot, I mean, he can score 50 goals in a season. But he just has great ice vision. He loves to set other guys up. He's got that innate ability to be a playmaker and a facilitator. That's what he does. He just loves setting other guys up. When he decides to shoot, he's lethal, but he is more than content setting up his other guys.
All right, here's a pair of Bolts we're going to discuss here and them potentially being goal scorers tonight. Over under half a goal for each of these guys individually. Braden Point and Nick Paul.
I'll go Pointer, yes. He's got 23 goals on the season. I think he benefits. I think Brandon Hagel scores tonight.
Okay. Going off the board, I venture to say it's also probably at half a goal.
Yes. I'm going to go Brandon Hagel scoring tonight because he scored twice against them a couple of weeks ago, so he's been fantastic.
I like it. That's it for the Bolts chatter here regarding some bets you can place tonight via that Hard Rock Bet app. How about some college football? Over under half a season left for Quinn Ewers at Texas as the quarterback.
Oh, it's under. I mean, he's got no choice. He either goes to the NFL or he's in the transfer portal going somewhere else for millions of dollars. Arch Manning is the starter at Texas moving forward after the playoffs. So, yeah, he's not coming back to Texas. He's either going to the NFL or he's going somewhere else. He's got a year left of eligibility. So I'm going under.
All right, taking the under. Let's talk about your boy Primetime. Over under 1.5 more seasons for Deion Sanders as a college football head coach. Not just particular to Colorado, but in total.
In total, I could see him being in Colorado or coaching in college for probably 2 more years. And then I think he goes somewhere else. I think he jumps to the NFL.
All right, so you're taking the over on that one. Here's another one for you regarding the great Bill Belichick, who now, if you've been sleeping under a rock, he is a college football head coach in 2025. The great Bill Belichick is.
I despise him.
Oh, my goodness. Over under Half a playoff game for Bill at UNC during his tenure as a head coach.
This is easy. This is under. Okay, and the reason why it's under is he's not going to be in North Carolina long. He's going to jump back to the NFL. And he's not going to be there long enough to establish a culture to where they're winning and getting into the college football playoff. That's not happening. So I'm going under. Absolutely.
I'm right there with you. I also don't think that his ways will work. He's going to take so long to build that program up to compete with those other teams that are consistently in the college football playoff. All right, NFL prop bets. Baker Mayfield over under 250.5 passing yards on Sunday.
I'm going over. And look, a lot of that is going to go to Mike. The Bucs want Mike Evans to get his 85 yards. They want him to get to 1,000. You also have Jalen McMillan, by the way, who is also on a torrid streak of his own. So he's going to get the ball some. There's a chance Kate Otten returns. So, look, I think Baker Mayfield's going to be even more motivated this week because, A, you win, you get in, and I think that motivates him. And B, the fact that he got snubbed for the Pro Bowl is only going to motivate him more to go out there and put it on the Saints on Sunday. So I'm going over on the prop total.
All right, Big Mike, 1-3, over under 93.5 receiving yards. He needs what, 85?
Needs 85.
The number on Hard Rock Bet app right now is 93.5. Over or under?
I'm going over, and I think Mike gets over 100. He'll get over 1,000 yards. There is no Marshawn Lattimore on the other side to deter him. This is absolutely going to happen, barring some unforeseen circumstance like an injury or something.
Notre Dame, by the way, up 13-3. They've scored 10 points in the last 11 seconds.
Well, it's because your boy,
Georgia,
by the way, got strip sacked and fumbled on the first play after they got that field goal.
Yeah, they're in trouble right here, right now. Okay, Bucky Irving, over under 84.5 rushing yards against New Orleans.
Don't do nothing stupid.
I'm going over. Bucky Irving has been maybe this, and I heard Mike Evans talk about this after the game. Bucky Irving may very well be the steal of the draft. In the fourth round to get that guy who's over 1,000 yards rushing, a big-time playmaker, yes, I'm going over. I think it's going to be a big offensive day for Bucky and Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield and the Bucs.
All right, I've got 3 more. Let's make it 4 more for all of you. We've got lightning round. If the Patriots were to get the number 1 overall draft pick in the draft, they will either trade minus 200, draft Travis Hunter plus 100, or draft a quarterback and trade Drake May at plus 1,000.
No, that's not happening. They're not drafting a QB and trading Drake May. That's silly talk. I think the Patriots end up trading the pick. I think Travis Hunter would be ideal if they stay at 1, but I think there'll be other teams maybe to look up, trying to get up to 1 to get a Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. I will say they trade the pick.
All right, let's talk about some NFL coaches and the Coach of the Year award. Kevin O'Connell minus 1,200, Dan Campbell plus 500, Andy Reid plus 2,200, or Dan Quinn at plus 4,000.
Kevin O'Connell has done a tremendous job. They're at 14 wins and might be 15 with home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs for a Vikings team that not much was expected of. So he absolutely is the Coach of the Year.
And NFL MVP, a conversation right now across the country. Josh Allen, minus 360. Lamar Jackson, plus 200. Or Joe Burrow, plus 2,500.
If the Bengals end up making the playoffs, then I think Joe Burrow gets serious consideration. But if you're going to go on numbers, Lamar Jackson's been incredible. 4 interceptions. He's got 39 passing touchdowns on the season. And he's done a lot of damage as well with his legs, closing in on 1,000 yards there too, in terms of his rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. 852 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. So he's got 43 overall touchdowns. I think Lamar Jackson's the MVP from beginning to end. He's been incredible. And by the way, he carried me to a fantasy title, by the way, my other league.
Oh, Tom, I hope. Oh, you won?
What?
You did you win the championship?
I did, yeah. I did because Lamar had the big game, and T. Higgins had the 3 touchdowns against Denver. Those 2 guys carried me to a title.
Now, is this a league with your friends or brothers?
Yeah, I've been in friends Yeah, I've been in this league for quite a while. I actually repeated, so I've won 2 in a row now in this league.
I know exactly what you did that night when you won.
Where's my money, bitch?
That's what you texted your group chat.
I did. I texted the commissioner of the league that video.
I knew it, man. That's great.
And sure enough, the money was there today.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Congratulations, Tom. All right, that is Let It Ride here on The Drive.
Great job there, Chris Mathis. Let It Ride presented by our guys over at the Center for Men's Health, C4MH.com. All right, coming up next, we're going to let you know what's on tonight and the latest update from the Sugar Bowl. That is next year.
tonight with The Drive with TKras.
Yes, sir. And here he is. It's our guy, Chris Mathis.
All right, Tampa Bay, what is on tonight? Well, here is the deal. We've got the Gator Bowl taking place tonight between Duke and number 14 Ole Miss. Your Tampa Bay Lightning will take on the San Jose Sharks in San Jose as the Bolts look to hand their 9th consecutive loss to the Sharks that are playing like minnows right now. Puck drops at 10:30. It's a late start, of course, with it being all the way out there. And also, Tom, if you hadn't got enough of TKras, it's his first day back on the Drive for 2025. There is a way to get more TKras aside from following him on social media at TKras on Twitter, X, and at TKras WDA on Instagram. He's also on television tonight.
What?
Bay News 9. Give us the details. And what are you guys talking about?
Despise him.
Yes, tonight at 10:30 on Spectrum Sports 360, Bay News 9. Yours truly, Ronnie Lane, will both be on there talking about the hot topics of the day, certainly in sports. We might be on tonight, tomorrow, and Saturday. We're on at least twice. 10:30 tonight at Bay News 9, though.
Easy as that. So if you haven't got enough TKras in 2025, there you go.
They don't care. You know?
He's a bum.
888-546-4620. Some hateful text coming in on the text platform at 82945.
Yeah, not going to get into that at all.
Yeah, we shouldn't get into it. You're right there, Shane Boz. Not going to get into it. Weak. That text is weak, by the way. Consider the source. All right, at the half, Georgia's not looking too good in the Sugar Bowl. They trail 13-3. So right there at the end of the first half, it was a 3-3 game. Notre Dame kicked the field goal, made it 6-3. And then the first play after that, I think it was the first play. Your boy, what's his face, Jack Mayoffer?
Gunnar Stockton. It was the first play of the drive. Yeah, there's a tweet going viral right now, and it says, and I quote, "From what we've seen of Gunnar Stockton, blindside awearness is not high."
Yeah, his pocket presence is not you know.
Nice game, pretty boy.
Not that nice of a game, let me tell you. So 13-3, I'm not going to count Georgia out. I mean, Kirby Smart is a sharp man. I'm sure there's some furniture moving in that locker room. I think Georgia has yet to be heard from.
Oh, I know there's furniture moving, man. You've heard some of those Kirby Smart locker room speeches, right?
Oh, yeah.
Holy cannoli. I would not want to tick that guy off.
Yeah, he gets very fiery. He gets very passionate. He has command of that room. So I think Georgia will be heard from in the second half. But so far, it's all Notre Dame, 13-3 at the half. The winner of this game will take on Penn State a week from today in the semifinals. And then you've got Ohio State and Texas in the other semifinal. That should be a heck of a game. Right now, Ohio State, I believe, a 6-point favorite in that game. I'm taking Texas. I'm telling you right now. I know Ohio State has been prolific so far in these playoffs. It's 6 points on the Hard Rock Bet app. I'm taking Texas. I'm getting 6 points. Quinn Ewers, after what he did in a great comeback win over Arizona State, I think Texas is very talented across the board. Can Ryan Day do it for a third straight game? Did it against Tennessee. The game against Oregon was an eye-opener, 41-21. I mean, that was 34-0 at the half. So you certainly have to give him a lot of credit. But I'm taking Texas plus the 6 points. And what could be Quinn Ewers' last game in a Longhorn uniform. He has got another year of eligibility. There's lots of rumors that he's going to hit the transfer portal because he's got a $6 million offer, reportedly from Notre Dame, on the table because Riley Leonard is graduating. He's moving on to the NFL after the college football playoffs. Supposedly, Notre Dame's got that offer for Quinn Ewers. It's been denied and debunked by some people, but there will be other programs that have millions of dollars at stake on the table for Quinn Ewers. If he decides to stick it out for another year, or go to the NFL. If he goes to the NFL, by the way, I like him as an NFL prospect. I do. I think he's got some Baker in him, believe it or not.
He's trying to stir.
No, and I know you don't like the Austin, Texas vibe there, Bake. That's where he's from, Baker Mayfield, by the way. And he was always at odds with the Longhorn fans. First with Texas Tech and, of course, with Oklahoma. He's got a quick release, and I like his moxie. I like his toughness. He's been through some injuries. I like him as a pro quarterback, potentially, for somebody. But there might be another year on the college side before he moves on to the NFL. But we'll find out. But, yeah, the college football landscape, the NIL, is out of control.
And wait, Quinn Ewers, he also started at Ohio State, right?
Yes.
Oh, man, stir that up. I'm here for it, man.
Stir it up. Because he's going to go somewhere. Somebody needs a quarterback. A lot of programs need a big-time college quarterback. So he's in the catbird seat.
And now he gets to face against that previous school in Ohio State. So that'll get interesting. Maybe there's some bad blood.
Yeah, man. So that's going to be a very interesting scene next week. But I'm going to take Texas plus the 6 points. I think Ryan Day's job is safe. A lot of people felt that he had to win the national title at Ohio State in order to save his job. I think beating Tennessee the way that they did and absolutely throttling number 1 Oregon the way they did, I think his job is safe. Now, if Texas beats them like 47-6, then maybe they'll revisit that idea. But I think on the basis of what we've seen those first 2 playoff games, I think Ryan Day's job has been salvaged. All right, 3 hours are down. 1 more hour to go. Coming up, the Buccaneers are getting set for a must-win game Sunday. Regular season finale, Raymond James Stadium. The undermanned Saints on the other side with maybe some emotion riding in their corner. What about Liam Cohen? Will he get a head coaching job? Is Mike Evans going to get his 85 yards? Is Shaq Barrett playing on Sunday? So many questions. We've got some answers. Rick Stroud, Tampa Bay Times at TampaBay.com. He will join the show coming up next here on The Drive.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
On your ride home, guys, get home safe and sound. An injury accident can happen to anyone. For New Year's Eve, I got to tell you, I didn't go out for New Year's. My heart wasn't really into it. Plus, it's amateur hour on the roadways. And I remember I walked over to my sister's house because she's within walking distance. When I left her house, I saw so much fog out and about. And I'm like, oh, man, I don't want to be driving home in this condition with the other people who are coming away from New Year's parties. Who knows? Inhibited, inebriated, what have you. But if you have someone you love happens to be the victim of an injury accident over the New Year's holidays, you got to get on the phone, call my guys over at Catania & Catania, the personal injury law firm that's been doing their thing here in Tampa Bay for the last 3 decades. They don't get paid unless you get paid, but they've been getting a lot of money for their clients. Almost $1 billion has been successfully recovered by my guys for injury victims just like you. They're protecting my rights. They've been in my corner watching out for me. They'll do the same for you, too. You can get a free evaluation of your case right now at 813-222-8545. That's 813-222-8545. Or hit them up.
most trusted voices in Tampa Bay. Rick Stroud, Scott Reynolds, and Pat Donovan bring you the Insiders. Presented by the Central Florida Behavioral Health Network and the Department of Children and Families. Sunday morning at 10 on the home of the best Bucs coverage. 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Ronnie Lane here with my good friend Steve Holland, co-founder and CEO of the Holland Group Retirement Wealth Advisors.
You know, Ronnie, it's always great listening to you with the Bucs season in high gear, and I'm amazed by the similarities, of course, between football and retirement planning.
How's that, Steve?
Well, you know, success begins with having a plan, managing the risk, and having a clear view of the whole field. And whether it's football or retirement planning, the best offense is a good defense. It's all about protecting and preserving your wealth no matter what.
You and your team at the Holland Group provide that kind of peace of mind to all your clients. You build them a comprehensive retirement plan, including investments, savings, and a mix of tax-advantaged strategies to get your clients over the goal line and into the retirement success end zone.
That's right, Ronnie.
So call the Hollands at 727-469-7939 or visit AskTheHollands.com. Let's make the rest of your life the best of your life.
Since 1985, Fates Electric has proudly served as Tampa's premier electrical contractor. As a veteran-owned and operated company, we bring a commitment to excellence in both commercial and residential projects. Our 24/7 Gold service is Tampa's most recommended electric contractor. Our dedicated electricians prioritize quality workmanship and unparalleled client communication, ensuring your
The gloves are off. I'm playing hardball. It's 4th and 15, and you're looking at a full court press.
You're tuned into the voice of the Tampa Bay sports fan.
You're going to like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us.
Buckle up, because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Depending on what the coaches and the trainers recommend, I think I'll be able to get out there and get a couple plays. I don't know what they're thinking right now, but whatever they think, I'm on board for. But yeah, I've been training for the last, so I had 3 months off, and I've been training for the last month or so. So I'm in a good spot right now, but I'm not nowhere near close to a full game ready or anything like that. Yeah.
Shaq Barrett is back with the Buccaneers. He spoke today and says he could very well be out there on Sunday as the Buccaneers are facing a win and they're in scenario Last week of the regular season, Bucks and the Saints, Sunday, 1 o'clock at Raymond James Stadium. Good evening, Tampa Bay. Welcome back. It is 6:06 on your ride home. The first Drive edition of 2025. The Drive presented by Moss Nissan. Tom Krasnicki with you. Spencer. Chris Mathis on the other side.
Is that my brother?
I almost called you Spencer Mathis.
Wow, that's incredible, dude. Shout out to Spencer.
Oh, my goodness.
That's awesome.
And I'm watching Notre Dame. They just returned the opening kickoff of the second half for a touchdown. It's 20-3 Notre Dame over Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. Not good. But we'll get more into college football a little bit later on, but it's all things Bucks and Saints. So much riding on this game. Will Shaq play? Can Mike get his yards? What about Baker Mayfield? He was snubbed today for the Pro Bowl. Let's talk more Buccaneers football right now in the Central Florida Behavioral Health Network, DA Hotline. Learn more at cfbhn.org. You can read them at the Tampa Bay Times and at tampabay.com. Rick Stroud is back with us here on the show. Rick, Happy New Year. How are you?
Happy New Year, Tom. I'm sure the Bucks are hoping the ball does not drop on Sunday.
Good one. I like that one. So give me your thoughts. I'm sure you were watching that game on Sunday night as well. Look, the Bucks easily disposed of the Panthers, and then they had to sit down and watch that game like everyone else. I know Baker was watching it with a whole bunch of old linemen, but how about that game Sunday night of Raheem Morris not knowing when to use his timeout? So that's probably going to be haunting him for quite a while.
Yeah, I wish I'd have gone to bed like Todd Bowles, but, I did stay up, and it's unfortunate for Raheem, who we know and I like a lot. Those are tough situations. You got to have somebody telling you or reminding you. They have enough people on the sideline and upstairs to tell you to use that timeout. They're trying to get up to the line of scrimmage fast and all of that, and it just doesn't matter. You want as much time. Obviously, if they'd have gotten another, 6, 7, 8 yards, 10 yards maybe, that field goal is good, and it doesn't go to overtime. But, what a gift for the Buccaneers to have new life, and that's why, you got to do it in a 17-game season. Now they got to finish the deal. Now they get a New Orleans team that's, just one win better than the team they played last week, and quite frankly, with what's on the line, the Bucs should finish the deal.
They should, and New Orleans should be overmatched. We don't know about Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara. There's maybe some word that they could be healthy enough to play on Sunday, although, they're still banged up as well. So the Bucs have a lot going for them. They'll be at home on Sunday. They control their own fate. And look, the play of Baker Mayfield, NFC Offensive Player of the Week. He had a great game against Carolina this past week. Unfortunately, Rick, it wasn't good enough for him to make the Pro Bowl, even though he's third in the league in passing yards, and he's among the league leaders in touchdown passes. He's second in that category, tied for second with Lamar Jackson, but not good enough to make the Pro Bowl. And I kind of think that maybe this week will be another reminder or another motivation for him to go out there and say, oh, yeah, I'm not ready or good enough to make the Pro Bowl. Watch this, right?
Yeah, well, he never runs out of shoulder chips, right? I mean, this is a guy that walks around that way, and so it's just a little bit more fuel for him. But he doesn't play for that. We were talking to Liam Cohen, and if you believe these two guys, Liam said that he called to congratulate him about winning, NFC Player of the Week for the second time in 3 weeks, and he said that Baker really didn't even know, what his numbers were, nor did he care. So that's a little, whether that's true or not, who knows? But I've talked to Baker a bunch these last couple of years, including before the season began, and he's keenly aware of one thing, that at the quarterback position, you're judged on winning. There's the head coaches have records they keep records for quarterbacks, and they don't keep them for anybody else. And you can be a Josh Allen or some of these guys that will win MVPs, but if you don't win a Super Bowl, there's always going to be something missing, right? That's why you play, and that's how you're judged ultimately as a quarterback is through winning. He's done enough winning, to win one NFC South championship. He's got a chance now on Sunday to win 2, and then it's about the postseason. You have to do it there. So the irony is that the guys that are on that Pro Bowl team, at quarterback. He's beaten 2 of them except for Sam Darnold, which you might see in the playoffs somewhere down the road. So, but usually a quarterback is in the Super Bowl, or they stay home, or something happens, and I would expect him to find his way to Orlando like he did a year ago. But this is his best year in football as far as pro football goes. He's played great, and the numbers he's putting up. I mean, Tom, if he threw 4 more TDs, which is not out of the realm of possibility against his Saints team, but he would tie Tom Brady for the franchise most. That's the sort of, and he's already going to probably get number 2 most touchdowns in franchise history. So, just an outstanding year, but again, it will be lacking for a lot if he can't get his team to the postseason.
Rick Stroud, Tampa Bay Times, TampaBay.com is with me here on the drive, and hopefully he can throw some of those touchdowns on Sunday to number 13, Mike Evans, who's right there on the precipice of 1,000 yards for an 11th straight year. He needs 85 yards, Rick. There is no Marshawn Lattimore on the other side. I know there's a couple young guys who can play. The Saints play a lot of man. Alante Taylor, we'll see what happens. But Mike has got the matchup advantage. The Bucs know that. I know Baker talked to you guys this week about, wanting to get Mike the ball, wanting to get the 85 yards, which I think he's going to get on Sunday, but trying not to force it into him. But that's going to be kind of hard to do, right?
Well, but, it isn't. I think that if the game goes the way they want it and need it to go, look, the passing game goes through Mike Evans anyway. And Liam Cohen has done a pretty good job in the games they've won of getting Mike involved early, and often. And so, because that's what you want to do with your best playmaker, your best receiver. Now, they've done a good job of moving him around and trying to prevent those double teams. If you just stick him outside the whole day, you're going to have a safety over the top, and you might get a couple shots down the field, maybe. But you're not going to have a high volume of throws. And you want Mike involved because he can run after the catch. He can help you control the football and catch balls inside. So I think you'll see him, and we have seen him more in the slot than he's ever been. And then he has a two-way go. And, I really do think that they will get him the football. Look, if it comes down to it and they have a lead, they can run pop passes to the guy all day and hope he gets to 85. But what's interesting about this is not so much, I don't hear Jerry Rice's name all that much, although, arguably the greatest football player of all time. That's who we're talking about here, Ty and Jerry Rice. But what you hear from everybody, including on that football team and in the community, is, they want it for Mike because of what Mike represents. Not only has he been an unbelievable player, obviously, with his record, but also just has done it the right way. Not a guy that's screamed for the football, a ton of different quarterbacks, didn't complain, didn't make the playoffs for so many years. And he plays with an attitude. I think what you miss about Mike is just how damn competitive he is. And I know when they took the field the other day, he was screaming at some guys about, being the most physical team and we got to bring this to them. And he wants to win so damn bad that I can't see him going out there and not being a big, big part of this.
Shaq Barrett was signed a few days ago, Rick, as we know. You and I spoke about this on Sunday. He's at practice this week. What are the chances he suits up and plays on Sunday against New Orleans?
Well, I think he's going to play. And I don't know how many plays. He's not ready to play a full football game. We talked to him today. He said he's been working out for about a month, which is not a long time. So he's not ready to, he's not in football shape, obviously. He hadn't worn any shoulder pads or taken a hit. But there's a couple things about Shaq Barrett. First of all, we learned, and I thought this was interesting, that he wasn't really thinking about coming out of retirement until there was some inquiries about him from other teams, and namely, the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles, 2 playoff teams in the NFC. And so, that got him thinking that, well, if there's teams that think I can still help them, why don't I try to help the home team? And of course he had to go through the process because the Miami Dolphins owned his rights. They were not just going to put him out there. They were mad, frankly, that he signed a contract, in March, and then 2 days before training camp decided to retire. So, they weren't just going to waive him right away. And so they waited till there were just 2 weeks left in the season. and then they put him on waivers. If he'd been claimed, he still couldn't been able to play through some sort of rule, but he did clear waivers, and I think that having him back in the building is good for some of those outside pass rushers. I mean, if nothing else, they had a good day last week, knowing he's coming, and so competition is good. But Shaq is at a stage in his career where he will mentor those guys the way he was mentored in Denver. And more than that, the great thing about, making an impact, you only got to get to the quarterback once, and you can change a game. And he's certainly capable of that. So we'll see. We'll see if they get into some good rush situations where he comes in sort of as that specialist. And if he can't get to the quarterback, he'll certainly draw some fire from some other guys.
He will, absolutely. So Sunday should be another game for the Buccaneers and the Saints to go at it, and Shaq Barrett could be right in the middle of it all. And, the Pro Bowl selections were announced today, even though Baker Mayfield didn't make it. Tristan Wirfs and Vita Vea, both absolutely deserving, Rick. They both made it, right?
Yeah, they're first teamers, and I think they got that right. Obviously this is the fourth straight Pro Bowl for Tristan, who switched, from right tackle to left tackle a year ago. That guy's going to put on a gold jacket. If he plays 4 more years, he'll have 8 Pro Bowls. If he plays 5 more years, he's going to have 9. I mean, that's just the way the arc that he's on. If he's fortunate enough to stay healthy, and Vita Vea, this is his best year, I think, that I've seen him play. The numbers would say that. Certainly, he's got 6 sacks or something like that. But more than that, he really kind of rededicated himself after that playoff loss in Detroit. He told Jason Light, I'm going to come back in the best shape I've ever been in. He spent the time with Ndamukong Suh in Portland. And he's had a motor like we've not seen, and this guy, is using his hands right. He takes on double teams every play. He's relentless. We saw him drop into coverage in Dallas. That was still a play we should be talking about if they'd have won that game, where he stops him on third down, knocks the tight end down 2 yards short of the first down. So he's just had a great year. And everybody in football that has to game plan for this guy just knows how powerful and how disruptive he is. And so, it's really great for Vita to get his second selection.
He's been dominant. He absolutely deserves to be there. And, you can't run against the Buccaneers because of what he provides in the middle of that defense. Kalijah Kancey's also feeding off it as well. Yep. Here's another big question, Rick. I know we got another home game, final home game of the regular season. Will the honorary mascot, Bucky the Ducky, be in the building on Sunday? That's what I want to know.
Well, I guess that's up to the Duck, because he was released. It was a catch and release program. And I wrote a story in the Tampa Bay Times and on TampaBay.com. There's a real interesting character in all of this, and he's one of the flag runners for the Bucs. And his name is Anchor Brent. What better name for a team like the Buccaneers than to have an anchor? And so Anchor Brent was eventually took possession of said mallard, and he grew up in the Gainesville area. He grew up on a farm. He knows how to handle critters, I guess. And so he bent down and got at eye level with the duck and managed to get close enough without it flying away or running away or whatever it was. And we've seen the pictures, and on his way out, a lot of people wanted to take pictures of Bucky, Ducky the Buck or whatever. And so it's a cool story. He did go outside and they had a moment, and he released them, and the duck didn't fly away right away. And Anchor was like, hey, I got to go back to work. So, but Anchor is unmistakable in his own right. He's got the great mullet, and his name is interesting. He was named that because both his parents were in the Navy, and I guess he was a very large child when he was born, so hence the term Anchor. But yeah, it's a cool story, and it's really, the Bucs social media team has gone wild with this. They've changed their profile page picture and all these things to. This is how stuff gets started, Tom. This is how a duck becomes, the representative of the Bucs, right? The Buccaneers. So we'll see if the mallard flies back into the building on Sunday. That's a pretty good sign.
I think that would be a great sign. By the way, you referenced it before. I find it very hard to believe that with your playoff hopes like riding on the line, that Todd Bowles falls asleep early on Sunday night and doesn't watch that Falcons game. I'm calling BS on that, Rick. There's no way. There's no way he falls asleep. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm going to tell you he did. And I'll tell you why. And people don't understand this unless you're around it and you know the hours these guys put in. Because I know the hours I put in and you put in. When you have to get up and game plan and you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I did morning radio for 5 years there. You can't stay awake. I mean, it's not even a choice. As bad as and the thing about Todd is, too, Todd knows he can't control the outcome of that game. So to sit there and lose sleep, right, which is what you were going to do, and then maybe not get the right outcome. So what just happened there? Okay, so you didn't gain anything, and now you've lost all this time and energy that you need to apply towards the next game plan. And and the same is true if you just stay up and they win. Now the game means even more, and you're like, wow, I wish I had those 4 or 5 hours back. Todd, I'm sure, was up very early Sunday. I know he was up early, the whole week before that. And the man is 61 years old. So, I mean, give him a break here. I think it's people that lose their minds over that it's like, oh, see, he doesn't care. No, he cares. He cares too much. And he can't control that outcome, but he's going to do everything he can to prepare himself, to prepare his team to play well on Sunday. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say, they're not coaching them hard enough, they're not doing the right things, and then expect the guy to go without sleep and focus on something he has no control over. So I do think he's telling the truth. Maybe he watched a little bit of the first half and thought it wasn't going to happen. That's the other part of it, right? Like, it can be maddening for any Bucs fan that sort of watched that. But either way, they got the outcome they needed, and now they have to finish the deal. Or, like I said, we might be having different discussions about Todd Bowles.
I'll get you on this. I think he gets it on Sunday. You think Mike Evans gets the 85-plus yards that he needs?
Yeah, I do, barring an injury or something cataclysmic. I think what will happen is, and they've done this a number of games where they've gotten the ball to him in the first drive quite a few times. We know he can run the slants, the dig routes. I think you'll see him line up inside. Obviously, he's a weapon on the goal line. They love to run those fades and some of those pick plays down there. But there's going to be a lot of energy in that building. And, the danger is that, Liam has to be careful he doesn't, try to force it. If they can run the football, and they should be able to against New Orleans, they certainly did the last time they played them, then that should be what they do. But I think like with any good player, I think you get him those yards and those catches early to get him into the rhythm of the game. And I think organically, 85 is more yards than you realize in an NFL game for Mike, on average. But there's just so much riding on it that if it comes to it in the fourth quarter and you have a lead, they'll be throwing pop passes to him and putting him in motion and, doing anything they can just to keep the ball in his hands. And those guys are going to block like hell downfield for him too. I mean, this whole team, this whole community is going to lift him, and I think it's going to be quite a celebration on Sunday. It'll be disappointing if he doesn't, that's for sure. But again, the biggest thing will be whether he has a game after this one.
You can read him at the Tampa Bay Times at tampabay.com. He'll be with me on Sunday for Countdown to Kickoff. You can also listen to him Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for the Insider Show, too, with Pat Donovan and Scott Reynolds. He's Rick Stroud at tampabay.com. Rick, I appreciate a few minutes as always. Happy New Year. We'll talk this weekend, buddy.
Happy New Year. Thanks a lot, Tom. See you.
You got it. See ya. That's Rick Stroud. Great stuff there. He did have the story on the duck. The duck is there at tampabay.com. It would be nice to see the duck make another appearance at the game on Sunday, but as Rick just mentioned, catch and release, they got our fair feathered friend, and they let him go back into the wild. What are the chances another duck shows up? It's not very good. But to have that duck there, I thought it was great. And Buccaneers took advantage of it, man. Their social media team took that idea and absolutely ran with it. And it was funny.
And there might be rumors out there that if the duck didn't land on the field, maybe it wasn't a blocked punt by JTS.
I'm telling you, man, the fact that happened and then they blocked the punt and returned it for a touchdown, something they haven't done in years, was quite interesting. An interesting coincidence. There's no big coincidences or small coincidences. There's just coincidences. That was from a Seinfeld episode. Rava. What is this with this Rava? All right, when we come back, your calls and texts. Can Mike Evans get the 85 yards? What about Shaq Barrett? He's playing on Sunday. How much playing time will he get? You know who was snubbed for the Pro Bowl. I'm going to give you some other names from around the NFL. I couldn't believe some of these guys didn't make the Pro Bowl. I'm going to tell you who they are. Plus, the Georgia Bulldogs are back in it thanks to Chris.
Sit back, because you're on The Drive with TKras. Presented by Moss Nissan on WDAE.
Felt good. Like, for some reason, my wife, she's like, I don't know, you think this is the best because it was like playoffs. She know for sure. Like, now I got faith we're going to go to playoffs. And it's not even about us bigger than football to come back here to the Bucs. So, yeah, I was happy. I was excited. And as soon as I found out I was released, like, it was a chance that I could have went to somebody else. I'm like, nah, I'll talk to him and just let him know what I'm thinking.
Shaq Barrett is back with the Buccaneers. He spoke today. He's excited, and he is expected to play Sunday when the Buccaneers take on the New Orleans Saints. The Bucs are a 13.5-point favorite, but they are not the biggest favorite on the board for Sunday, Week 18. Oof is right in the NFL. Welcome back. 6:33 on your ride home. The Drive with TKras. Chris Mathis is on the other side. 888-546-4620. Notre Dame with the ball, a 3rd and long. Georgia scored a touchdown, so it's 20-10. Your boy, Gunner, what's his face?
Stockton.
Gunner Stockton.
That's quite the name, right? I mean, that's a pretty good name.
Gunner Stockton. Sounds like somebody from North Georgia, the backwoods. Oh, come on. Why? What?
Hey, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I'm not even going to nah that because it is about as North Georgia as it gets.
Tell you what, he's been impressive because on that drive, he threw a beautiful deep ball that number 86, Bell, dropped it. Would have been a 50-yarder. But he didn't let it faze him. They went down the field. He found the wide-open kid down the sideline. Notre Dame blew the coverage for the touchdown. And so it's 20-10 with about 6 minutes left to go in the third quarter. We'll keep you updated. That is the Sugar Bowl, obviously. That was supposed to go down last night, but because of the terror attack, it was postponed until this afternoon. So we'll keep you updated. We're on until 7 o'clock. So the Buccaneers on the Hard Rock Bet app are a 13.5-point favorite. They are not the biggest favorite in the NFL this weekend. That distinction belongs to the Baltimore Ravens, who are taking on the Cleveland Browns Saturday afternoon at 4:30.
How are y'all doing?
Good, Jameis. The Ravens are a 19.5-point favorite over the Browns. Baltimore needs a win to clinch the AFC North. Lamar Jackson vying for the MVP award. That would be his 3rd if he manages to win it. I think he is the MVP. And another big performance on Saturday afternoon will go a long way in cementing maybe his 3rd MVP award. He's competing with Josh Allen, who's had a great year for Buffalo, and Saquon Barkley, who is over 2,000 yards rushing. But Saquon will not play this weekend because the Eagles have everything wrapped up. They've got the number 2 seed in the NFC, and Nick Sirianni, in his infinite wisdom, has elected not to play Saquon, even though he needs 101 yards to break one of the more hallowed NFL records there is. Eric Dickerson, 2,105 yards rushing 40 years ago, 1984, is where that record was set. You're so close to that record. I'll tell you, those offensive linemen for Philadelphia, they want the record. They want that on their resume. I think deep down Saquon wants the record too, but he mentioned, well, I would like to get the record, but, you know, I think the bigger goal in mind is to win the Super Bowl. The Eagles don't want to risk any more injuries. If you remember last year, I think A.J. Brown got hurt the last regular season week. He didn't play against the Bucs. What happened? They got smacked around by the Buccaneers in the wild card game. So the Eagles don't want to take any chances. They're not going to play Saquon this week. 4th and 1. Notre Dame is going for it, and Riley Leonard, I think he got stopped right around midfield. A quarterback sneak or a quarterback keeper. It was a draw. It wasn't like a tush push or anything.
That's a big play. That's a big stop right there at midfield.
I don't think he got it.
I think he's short.
Where they spotted it? First off, if you're going to run, this is a terrible play call. He's lining up in shotgun. It's 4th and a half a yard. You're taking a shotgun snap 5 yards back, and now he's got to run 6 yards forward. Sneak it. That doesn't make any sense, that play call. I don't think he got it. The chain gang is coming on out to take a look.
And then you're giving it over to Georgia if it's a turnover on downs, who has an offense that's starting to get a groove at midfield.
He did not get it. He's short. And Georgia takes over. Turnover on downs. They'll have the ball at their own 49-yard line. 5:42 left to go in the third. Georgia trying to mount the comeback. It's now 20-10. They were down 20-3. So we'll keep an eye on that game the rest of the way. 888-546-4620. So Baker Mayfield was snubbed for the Pro Bowl, which is a popularity contest. We all know and understand that over the years. He wasn't the only obvious snub. Kirby Joseph, the Lions safety, leads the NFL in picks. He got snubbed. Danielle Hunter, third in the NFL in sacks. He was snubbed. And Christian Gonzalez, because he plays for a bad Patriots team, man, let me tell you, Joey Porter is very good at what he does. Patrick Surtain right now is probably the best man-for-man cover corner in the league. But Christian Gonzalez is rapidly ascending up the ranks in terms of cover corners. That guy's been fantastic. Everybody he's faced, he is shut down for the most part. So one of the very few bright spots on that Patriots team, they may very well get the number 1 overall pick, even though they already have a quarterback. They've got some good pieces in New England. They've got Drake May. They've got Christian Gonzalez. They've got a couple of guys that they can build around on both sides of the ball. So if they end up getting the number 1 overall pick, I think if I were them, I would seriously consider trading down, stockpiling picks, and begin to build your football team. Once you've got the quarterback position figured out, it becomes a little bit easier to fill out the rest of your roster. So even though the Patriots were not very good this year, they do have a lot to look forward to. And if they end up getting the number 1 overall pick, they're going to be in good shape, I think, moving forward. But the Ravens at 11-5 are a 19.5-point favorite over the Browns. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. So those are the Pro Bowl snubs. That's what the NFL scene looks like. You heard Mike Nabors. He was with us in studio. He's down on the Saints. The Saints may have won 5 games, but they are bringing a skeleton crew to Tampa because of all the injuries this Sunday for that game against the Bucs. And if you remember the first meeting between these two teams, the hurricane was bearing down on the area. So the Glazers relocated the Buccaneers to New Orleans for that entire week. The players, coaches, the staff, and their families. It was an incredible gesture by the Glazers at that point with Milton approaching. The Buccaneers went to New Orleans and they put 51 points up on the board. I think they've got a good chance this week to put up 35-40. And now that Baker Mayfield's been snubbed for the Pro Bowl, he's going to use that as motivation this week. As well as the fact that, look, you got to win and you're in. So I think that is what means more to Baker and the Buccaneers at this point. And oh, by the way, getting Mike Evans is 85 yards, so he gets to 1,000 for the 11th straight year, which will be an NFL record, and you'll tie the record for most consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons with Jerry Rice. Jerry had 11 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons. He didn't have one his rookie year coming out of the gate from Mississippi Valley State when he came out in 1985 in that draft. So Mike will add to his already impressive record of 11 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons right out of the gate since he got drafted, which is a heck of a record, a heck of a mark, and one that he will look to add to this week if he can get 85 yards against a Saints team that is just bad Bad all the way across the board. There is no Marshawn Lattimore. You heard Mike Nabors. I mean, they have these Tom, Dick, and Harry's playing wide receiver that no one's ever heard of. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is their top receiver right now. Chris Olave's been hurt. He's been practicing this week. Maybe he plays this week, but if you're the Saints with, a number of head injuries that he has suffered, why in the world would you risk it? And why would you put Chris Olave out there? I don't think they will. Alvin Kamara and Derek Carr, they both have not practiced at all this week. So it appears to be a long shot for both of those guys to play. Look, the Bucs are 2 touchdown favorites, and they should win this game by more than 2 touchdowns. They should win comfortably. When we come back, update from the Sugar Bowl, final thoughts, the final drive, and a
Tampa Bay, The Drive with TKras on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. The Final Drive.
It's just a damn shame that we still live in the world filled with fear. And to ring in 2025, we get the tragic news of the terror attack that took place up in New Orleans, where more than 15 people were killed, many more injured at the hands of just some absolute deranged lunatic who had so much evil and hatred in their hearts. To perpetrate such an act is just beyond me. It's beyond all of our imaginations. It's 2025, and it's hard to imagine the fact that we haven't really evolved as a society, as a race of human beings, as we still have these sick, senseless, deranged people out there just willing to kill innocent people for no reason, based on some ridiculous ideology that is just antiquated and really has no place in our society. So let's say a prayer for the victims of the families of those that were impacted in the terror attacks on New Year's up in New Orleans.
The Final Drive.
All right, tomorrow here on the program, we've got a big Football Friday show. We've got Beat the Pro, right? We've got NFL picks. Pigskin Pick'em.
Oh, yeah, Pigskin Pick'em as well.
I think Cynthia Freeland's going to be making a final appearance on the show because Fantasy Fridays obviously is winding down. I'm not sure how many people have fantasy matchups riding on this weekend's games, but Cynthia Freeland of the NFL Network will join us. We'll talk to Scott Reynolds. We'll preview the Buccaneers and the Saints Sunday at Raymond James Stadium. He's going to be with us as well. And also the very first mailbag segment of 2025 will be coming your way tomorrow as well. It's a 4-hour Happy New Year. In this country, we say Happy New Year. So we got a huge show coming your way tomorrow. So we hope you can be with us. A 4-hour extravaganza. They are headed to the fourth quarter up at the Sugar Bowl, and Notre Dame is leading Georgia 20-10, and Notre Dame is driving. They're inside the Georgia 30. Georgia had a turnover on downs there on that last drive after Notre Dame turned it over on downs on that quarterback draw play with Riley Leonard. So doesn't look too good for your boy Gunnar Stockton there, Chris Mathis.
It doesn't look pretty at all, and I'm afraid the time is just going to run out before they have a chance to even try to make it competitive. Even if you hold them to a field goal here, I just don't think this offense is moving methodically down the field to score points as quickly as they're going to need to.
He hasn't been bad, really. I thought he's been okay. Like the strip sack, you just got to have more pocket awareness than that. And I'll tell you what, the other big play took place, right out of the locker room. Notre Dame returned the kick for a touchdown. I mean, you can't have that happen. So that was a huge play coming out of the locker room. Second half kickoff return for a score. And Georgia's been fighting an uphill battle really the entire afternoon. So the winner of this game moves into the semifinals. They will take on Penn State next Thursday. The other semifinal has Ohio State going up against Texas. Ohio State has been the most impressive team so far in this playoff format. Texas had a big comeback win the other night thanks to Quinn Ewers. And I like Texas plus the points, plus 6 points in that game.
Georgia defense. What are they doing, Tom?
Wait a minute. There's a flag down. There's a flag down on that. What was it? Was that a fourth down play?
Yes, it was 4th and 1. Yeah, 4th and 1. Play action pass.
Oh, illegal shift against Notre Dame.
Oh, come on now.
Boy. All right. Try and enjoy the rest of your night. I'll talk to you guys on the TV side tonight at 10:30 on Bay News 9, and then I'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock for the drive. You're dismissed.
Come on, get out of here. Merry New Year. I woke up feeling dangerous. Choke him now. Choke him. Choke him.
I want one of those cigars.
Listening on the free iHeartRadio app? Thanks to Farrah and Farrah, it's never been easier to send your opinions directly to your favorite show. When you open the app, click the red talkback microphone and hit send. Farrah and Farrah, here to make it easy, Tampa. Hey, Rays fans, for the best insights, interviews, and analysis surrounding the Rays, check out the Tampa Bay Rays podcast, hosted by your favorite Rays radio personalities. Just search Tampa Bay Rays for all the latest on demand on the iHeartRadio app, and raise up with the Tampa Bay Rays.
What's the Anajar and Levine difference? If you're the victim of a car crash, you will always speak to a lawyer. You'll always get the highest standard of care from our dedicated legal team, and we'll always fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. That's the Anajar and Levine difference. Call our legal team right now for a free consultation. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Don't wait. Call 1-800-747-FREE.
Main office, Tampa.
Ahoy there, mateys! Join us for Seminole Hard Rock Gasparilla Pirate Fest, Saturday, January 25th. Kick off the morning at the Gasparilla Invasion Brunch at the Tampa Convention Center at 10 a.m. The Gasparilla Invasion, presented by Ye Mystic Crew of Gasparilla, sets sail at 11:30 a.m. Then the Parade of the Pirates marches down Bayshore starting at 2. For official merchandise and reserve tickets, visit GasparillATreasures.com. Sponsored in part by Seminole Hard Rock Tampa, Neutral, Buzzballs, Woody's Wash Shack, News Channel 8, and Ye Mystic Crew of Gasparilla.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thank you for talking.
For tips to start the talk, turn to Central Florida Behavioral Health Network at cfbhn.org. Central Florida Behavioral Health Network is a managing entity contracted with the Department of Children and Families.
Hey guys, TKras here for Catania and Catania. If you or someone you love has been injured in an accident, protect your rights. Do what I did. Call Catania and Catania, the personal injury law firm located right here in Tampa Bay. They work on a contingency, which means there's no cost to you unless they win. So give them a call. 813-222-8545. That's 813-222-8545 or online at CataniaCatania.com to get that free evaluation of your case. Catania and Catania, they put families first. Office Tampa, not attorney spokesman.
For every ouch, oops, and uh-oh, there's a Band-Aid brand product that's best. Get great, dependable, everyday protection to help minor cuts and scrapes. The ultimate protection. From bandages to blister cushion. Your life is unique. So are our bandages. Band-Aid brand adhesive bandages.
Not flossing well? Then add the whoa of Listerine to your routine. New science shows it gets in between teeth to destroy 5 times more plaque above the gum line than floss for a cleaner, healthier mouth. Listerine's invigorating rush, zapping millions of germs in seconds for that one-of-a-kind whoa.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, Prestige Men's Medical Center will get your sex life back in just one visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Prestige Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Prestige Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your sex life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 813-288-2202. 813-288-2202. To regain your sex life in just one visit, call now. 813-288-2202.
Looking for your next ride? Come to Carl Flammer Ford for a truly caring experience. No gimmicks, no surprises, just a seamless customer experience. Discover incredible deals on your new Ford and drive home happy today. Visit us in Tarpon Springs or online at carlflammerford.com.
Start your year off stress-free and sell your home with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. Hey, it's Aaron Jacobson here, and don't worry about the hassle of constant cleaning and making costly repairs. With the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, you can receive an all-cash offer and move when you're ready. There are no showings, no open houses, and no stress. With over 12,500 five-star reviews, you can trust Mark Spain Real Estate to sell your home stress-free and for the most money. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before. We now have more offices, more staff, and more lawyers than any other other injury firm in the world, protecting America, fighting for you.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
From the Rude Air and Water Studios, powered locally by Ferguson HVAC, engineered tough, built to last.
WDAE St. Petersburg, W237CW Pinellas Park, W224BE Brent, WRUB HD3 Clearwater. Streaming